Welcome to the Wednesday, May 27th, 2026 regular board meeting. Tonight in closed session. Oh, can I have a roll call to establish quorum?
On the attendance roll call to establish quorum, Student Director Simmons, Student Director Smith, Director Lotta,
Present.
Director Williams, Director Hutchinson, Director Barry, Director Thompson,
Present.
Vice President Brohard, Vice President Brohard. I'm sorry, Vice President Batchelor, sorry.
Here.
And President Brohard.
Here.
Okay,
Good
quorum
hybrid.
present.
Can we have a interpretation check, Mr. Hollis?
Yes, Madam President. For tonight's meeting, we have currently 2 languages available for live interpretation. They are Arabic and Cantonese. And we have a translation closed caption feature available on Zoom that you can use by clicking the closed caption icon on your Zoom taskbar. With that, we will move on to announcements for live interpretation. We will start with Cantonese. I will lower all attendees' hands on Zoom. Please only raise your hand if you need the language being announced at this time, which is Cantonese. And I will ask Mr. Yuen if you can come off of mute and give the translation announcement for Cantonese.
大家好，呢度係屋崙聯合校區教育委員會會議。如果你需要廣東話嘅翻譯，請你喺你嘅熒屏右下方點擊一個地球形狀嘅符號，然後選擇廣東話，你就可以收聽到廣東話嘅翻譯。如果你需要廣東話嘅翻譯，請舉手，讓我哋知道有人需要廣東話嘅翻譯。如果你身處現場而需要廣東話翻譯嘅話，請到向職員攞一部電腦。然後跟隨頭先嘅指示，咁你就可以連同網上嘅人士收聽到廣東話。多謝。Mr. Hollis, now Cantonese announcement is done.
Thank you, Mr. Yuen. Checking the attendees to see if there's any hands raised for Cantonese interpretation. Seeing no hands, we will not start with Cantonese interpretation at this time. Moving forward to Arabic, I will lower all attendees' hands on Zoom. Please only raise your hand if you need the language being announced at this time, which is Arabic. And I will ask Ms. Abdi if she can come off and mute and give the interpretation announcement for Arabic.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. استمع إلى ترجمة باللغة العربية ورجاء اتباع التعليمات والإرشادات التالية. في أسفل الشاشة ابحث عن الدائرة على شكل كرة الأرضية، اضغط عليها ثم اختر كلمة الترجمة واختار اللغة العربية. أما إذا تستخدمون أجهزة ذكية هناك 3 نقاط عند كلمة مور، اضغط عليها ثم اضغط الترجمة، والرجاء كتم الصوت للأصل حتى تستمعون إلينا بوضوح. وشكرا. Arabic announcement is done.
Thank you, Ms. Abdi. Checking the attendees to see if there's any hands raised for Arabic interpretation. Seeing no hands, we will not start with any interpretation at this time. That concludes the first announcement for interpretation, and I will pass it back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. Tonight in closed session, we will discuss the following matters. D1, labor matters, conference with labor negotiators. D2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. D3, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. D4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation. D5, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. And item D6, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation. Under public employment, we'll discuss D7, public employment, superintendent of public schools. Under pupil matters, D8, expulsion, student WW. D9, expulsion, student XX. D10, expulsion, student YY. And D11, expulsion, student ZZ. We will then reconvene to public session at 5:30 p.m. Are there any public comments on closed session items?
Yes, President Brohard, we have one registered speaker, Carol Delton.
2 minutes.
Hello, I don't see a clock, so I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Thank you. I am commenting on items D2 and D3, and I'm speaking very personally. I'd like to begin by telling you how happy I was to see the We Are One World poster that appeared as part of the multicultural celebrations in OUSD's elementary school because it included both the Israeli and Palestinian flags alongside many other countries. At the last board meeting, several speakers opposed to the district complying with the CDE order on anti-Semitism received extended time to speak on the superintendent's report, while others, like myself, were not called on, nor were we called on to speak during the non-agenda public comment. I'm not a member of the Oakland Jewish Alliance, but I've seen the suggested remedy from their attorney, and I think it's reasonable and that you should take it seriously by providing dedicated time to the speakers who are registered and not called, given that speakers opposed to the CD order were given more than double the allotted time to speak. Some referred to the need to teach critical thinking. In 2023, the curriculum provided, in late 2023, the curriculum provided to teachers on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict trivialized or ignored the history of Jews in both Europe and the Middle East. That is not teaching critical thinking. My grandfather, who came on his own to the US in his late teens, not unlike our unaccompanied migrants here, never got over what happened to his parents and siblings who were barred from entry to the US a few years later. Those who survived were essentially stateless and had no place to go but Israel. Nor my in-laws from Libya, native speakers of Arabic, by the way, who also had no place to go. Nor those Jews who have lived continuously in the land for centuries, despite repeated invasions by the Babylonians, Romans, and Ottomans. From my perspective, anti-Zionism unfortunately overlaps with anti-Semitism in the very basic question of where can my family live? When I see a map of the region, as was published by OUSD in repeated years, that has erased Israel, I feel worried. No matter how much I, or they, my family in Israel, disagree with the Israeli government, they have nowhere else to go. In Oakland, I hesitate to wear the necklace my grandmother gave me or respond in public to a cousin's WhatsApp message in Hebrew in case someone is looking over my shoulder, much like the Jewish students at our schools. When I hear that someone is lifted up as a hero at one of the school sites and that person has vowed part of their life's mission to kill Jews, I feel worried. When I offer time and time again to district staff to work with them so the board and committee meetings aren't scheduled on the very most observed Jewish holidays, I feel frustrated. When I notice there's a conflict like that, write to board leadership and don't hear back after a month, I feel dismissed. I value that there is one place in the world that runs on my calendar of religious observance. Some of the e-commenters at the last board meeting wrote that they were asking that both Jewish and Palestinian history and peoplehood be lifted up. And so do I. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Are there any other public speakers?
No, President Broad, that conclude public speakers.
We will now go into closed session. Welcome to the May 27th School Board. Mr. Rakestar, can we have a roll call to establish quorum, please?
Yes, on the attendance roll call for the purpose of establishing a quorum. Student Director Simmons, Student Director Smith are absent. Director Lotta,
Present.
Director Williams,
Present, sir.
Director Hutchinson,
Present.
Director Barry,
Present.
Director Thompson,
Present.
Vice President Batchelor,
Here.
and President Brohard.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. And Mr. Hollis, can we have an interpretation check, please?
Yes, Madam President. For tonight's meeting, we have 3 languages available for live interpretation. They are Cantonese, Arabic, and Spanish. We also have a translation closed caption feature available on Zoom that you can use by clicking the closed caption icon on your Zoom taskbar. With that, we will start with announcements for live interpretation. We will start with Cantonese. I will lower all attendees' hands on Zoom. Please only raise your hand if you need the language being announced, which at this time is Cantonese. And I ask Mr. Yuen if he could come off and mute and give the interpretation announcement for Cantonese.
選擇廣東話，你就可以收聽到廣東話嘅翻譯。如果你需要翻譯服務，麻煩你舉舉手，讓我哋知道有人需要廣東話翻譯。多謝。Cantonese announcement is done, Mr. Hollis.
Thank you, Mr. Yuen. Checking the attendees on Zoom to see if there's any hands raised for Cantonese interpretation. Seeing no hands, we will not start with Cantonese interpretation at this time. Moving forward to Arabic. I will lower all attendees' hands on Zoom. Please only raise your hand if you need the language being announced at this time, which is Arabic. And I will ask Mr. Turek if he can come off and mute and give the interpretation announcement for Arabic. I'll ask Ms. Abdi if she can come off and mute and give the interpretation announcement for Arabic.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. مساء الخير. نقدم لكم الترجمة باللغة العربية. رجاء اتباع الإرشادات التالية. في أسفل الشاشة ابحث عن الدائرة على شكل الكرة الأرضية، اضغط عليها ثم اختر كلمة الترجمة واختار اللغة العربية. أما إذا أنتم تستخدمون الأجهزة الذكية، هناك 3 نقاط في أسفل الشاشة عند كلمة مور، اضغط عليها ثم اختر كلمة الترجمة واختار اللغة العربية. الرجاء كتم الصوت الأصلي حتى تستمعون إلينا بوضوح. إذا أنتم متواجدون، هناك أجهزة توفر لكم استماع الترجمة باللغة العربية. وشكرا. Arabic announcement is done.
Thank you, Ms. Abdi. Checking the attendees to see if there's any hands raised for Arabic interpretation. Seeing no hands, we will not start with Arabic interpretation at this time. Moving forward to Spanish. I will lower all attendees' hands on Zoom. Please only raise your hand if you need the language being announced at this time, which is Spanish. And I'll ask Mr. Copenhagen if he can come off and mute and give the interpretation announcement for Spanish.
Thank you. Buenas tardes. En un momento activaremos el servicio de interpretación. Para escucharlo, localicen el icono de interpretación en la parte inferior de la ventana. Selecciónenlo y se abrirá una lista de idiomas. Seleccionen Spanish para escuchar en español. Si no ve el icono, haga clic en los 3 puntos suspensivos y verán por ahí la opción de interpretación. Para saber si hay personas en la reunión que necesitan el servicio, por favor levanten la mano virtual en este momento o escriban en el chat que necesitan el servicio. Si no se pide de esta manera, no se prestará el servicio durante la primera parte de la agenda. Y para las personas presentes en el auditorio, si necesitan interpretación, hay computadoras disponibles. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Copenhagen. Checking the attendees on Zoom to see if there's any hands raised for Spanish interpretation. Seeing no hands, we will not start with any interpretation at this time. That concludes our second announcement for live interpretation. and we will make further announcements later on in the meeting. And with that, I'll pass it to you, Madam President.
Thank you. At tonight's meeting, there are several allotted times where you may make public comments, provided you pre-register to speak online before the meeting started, or if you fill out a comment card, which you can find on the table by the entrance. And you can submit those cards at any time. There will be time for public speaking after the adoption of the pupil, at the time of the pupil discipline consent report, at the time of special orders of the day, at the time of superintendent's report, the adoption of the general consent report, the adoption of the general consent report number 2, the adoption of the general consent report, all non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, during the public hearing, after unfinished business, and after each of the items, of unfinished business, the amendment, application, local assignment option, California Commission on Teacher Credentialing, application for provisional internship permit, application for variable term waiver, application for local assignment option. There will be public speaking allotted under new business under the first item, 2024-2027 Local Control and Accountability Plan, 2025 Report Board Policy 7115 Capital Program Construction Related Local Small Local Resident Business Enterprise Program, and the application for provisional internship permit, California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Please be aware that in compliance with the Brown Act, board members may not respond to comments regarding issues that are not on our posted agenda for tonight. I ask that all speakers keep their comments to the scope of an item, and if a speaker speaks to a different item, the chair will need to ask that that speaker either speak to the specific item or hold their comments until the appropriate public comment period. Report out of closed session for May 27th, 2026. Under Labor Matters, on item D1, number 25-1864, Conference with Labor Negotiators, the board gave direction on this matter. Under Legal Matters, item D2, under number 25-2682, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, the board discussed this matter. On item D3, number 26-0703, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, the board discussed this matter. On item D4, number 26-1246, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, the board approved a settlement in this matter. Motion by Vice President Batchelor, second by Director Thompson, with a vote of 6-0 and 1 absent. President Brohard, yes. Vice President Batchelor, yes. Director Barry, yes. Director Hutchinson, absent. Director Latta, yes. Director Thompson, yes. And Director Williams, yes. On item D5, number 26-1248, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, the board approved a settlement in this matter. Motion by Vice President Batchelor, seconded by Director Thompson. Vote approved, 6-0. President Brohard, yes. Vice President Batchelor, yes. Director Barry, yes. Director Hutchinson, absent. Director Latta, yes. Director Thompson, yes. And Director Williams, yes. On item D6, number 26-1298, Conference with Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, the board approved a settlement in this matter. Motion by Vice President Batchelor, second by Director Thompson, approved on a vote 6-0, with 1 absent. President Brohard, yes. Vice President Batchelor, yes. Director Barry, yes. Director Hutchinson, absent. Director Latta, yes. Director Thompson, yes. Director Williams, yes. Public Employment Matters. On item D7, number 24-1967, Superintendent of Schools, the board did not take up this matter. Pupil Matters. On items D8 through D11, the board heard these matters and will vote on the matters in public in section I on the agenda. That is the end of the May 27th, 2026 closed session report out. Now have modifications of the agenda, and I would like to pull items 0-1 and 0-21. I would like to withdraw special order of the day J1, and I would like to move our public hearings after our special meeting on the agenda tonight. Are there any other items, modifications to the agenda? Director Batchelor,
I'd like to pull O21.
that was pulled.
That was pulled?
Yeah.
Because I heard O1.
01 and 021.
O21 was pulled.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Director Hutchinson.
Excuse me, thank you. I'd like to pull on the facilities consent report, P8 and P12.
P8 and P12. Thank you. Are there any other modifications to the agenda? With that, we will move into the pupil consent. Pupil matters. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
And is there any public comment on this?
Yes, for public comment, we have Asal Olabala.
2 minutes.
I'm going to be brief because I continue to say the same thing. I think that attention to what is happening, and you're going to see it when you do this review of the violence that's going on all over the country with our young people around discipline. And we have to do something to take our most vulnerable students when it comes to their behaviors and work with them, not send them to Alameda. I just think that we did a wrong action when we closed that community center school, where we had the ability to embrace these young people, find a way to put them on the right track, keep up with their academics, work with their parents and their teachers. You talk about a lot of groups that you focus on. I look at the agenda, your refugees, your immigrants, your newcomer students, every agenda you give attention to them. There's nothing wrong with that attention. But these young people need attention. They need care. They need support. And we're not doing it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Is there? Mr. Rakestrack, can we have a roll call on the vote, please?
On the motion to adopt the pupil discipline consent report, student directors are absent and would be recused. Director Lotta.
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes, sir.
Director Hutchinson.
Abstain.
Director Barry.
Yes.
Director Thompson.
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor.
Yes.
And President Brohar.
Yes.
The pupil discipline consent report is adopted.
The next item on the agenda is item J, which is special orders of the day. I believe we have a presentation on the renaming of the field in honor of John Beam and Tony Fardella. Thank you. Sorry. You
I believe this is a voting item.
I'd like to make a motion to move this item forward.
I'll second it.
You approve it, right?
To move to approval, yes. Director Brohard, second.
Good evening, Board Superintendent Sadler and community. I'm Pranita Ranbise, Executive Director of Facilities.
Take it up now.
Test.
Good. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, board members and Superintendent Sadler and the community. I'm Pranita Ranbise. I'm the Executive Director of Facilities Planning. First off, I'm honored to be able to present to you all resolution for renaming the Skyline High School Athletic Field, Resolution 25-260107. Before I go into the brief presentation, I would like to first of all thank the Skyline High School leadership team, the Field Renaming Advisory Committee, Skyline students, families, and staff, as well as the alumni, coaches, and community members who actively participated in this thoughtful and collaborative process. I also want to recognize the facilities engagement specialist, Ray Bermudez, who helped lead this community engagement effort as part of the renaming process. Tonight, I'm really honored to be able to present this resolution to you all in honor of John Beam, Tony Fardella. This recommendation comes straight following a community-led request and a formal engagement process conducted in alignment with Board Policy 7310 regarding the naming of district facilities. Coach John Beam and Tony Fardella have made long-standing and meaningful contributions to Skyline High School through decades of their leadership, mentorship, coaching, advocacy, and support of student athletes and the athletic programming. As part of this process, staff convened an advisory committee of staff, alumni, community, and students who conducted outreach, as well as we had a public survey. With participation from parents, students, alumni, teachers, and staff, the feedback demonstrated a strong support for recognizing both individuals and highlighted appreciation for the Skyline's athletics legacy and community identity. The resolution also acknowledges future opportunities to continue celebrating Skyline athletics, including the potential for a future consideration of John Beam Stadium, Tony Fardella Field, as well as additional plaques, displays, monuments, or recognitions featuring honoring Skyline athletics history and achievements. This naming effort is also being coordinated alongside district's active Skyline athletic field lighting project of approximately $1.5 million. The fiscal impact associated with the renaming of this field is anticipated to primarily include signage, installation, and related recognition materials. Staff proposes that these costs be supported through existing facilities resources, operational resources, and community partnerships. Tonight, staff respectfully request the board to adopt Resolution 2526-0107, naming the Skyline High School athletics field the John Beam Tony Fardella Field. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any public comments?
There's no registered speakers.
Okay. And are there board comments? Vice President Batchelor.
Thank you. As the facilities chair and the board director representing this Skyline community, is an honor to bring forward this resolution, recognizing these two individuals whose names are deeply woven into the fabric of Skyline High School. Coach John Beam and Tony Fardella each represented decades of dedication, mentorship, leadership, and unwavering commitment to Oakland students and student athletes. For generations of Skyline families, Coach Beam was more than just a coach. He was a mentor, a role model, and a steady presence who pushed young people to believe in themselves both on and off the field. His impact extended far beyond the wins and losses. He helped shape character, build community, and create opportunities for countless students across Oakland. Tony Fardella's contribution to Skyline athletics and school spirit has also left a lasting legacy. Through the years of advocacy, support, leadership, he has helped strengthen the athletics program and ensure that student athletes had championships standing behind them. What makes this resolution especially meaningful is that it came from the community itself. Alumni, students, families, staff, and stakeholders participated in the process and expressed overwhelming support to ensure these contributions are permanently recognized at Skyline High School. Facilities are more than just buildings and fields. They hold history, identity, community memory, and using the superintendent's words, our schools have souls and we must honor that. Naming this athletic field the John Beam Tony Fardella Field ensures that the future generations of students will know the shoulders that they are standing on and the legacy of excellence, mentorship, and pride that will help them shape Skyline athletics. I am proud to bring this resolution forward from the Facilities Committee, where it was voted on by my board colleagues unanimously. Thank you.
Director Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. Skyline class of '91. Both Mr. Fardella and Coach Beam were teachers at Skyline when I was a student there. They were both lifers in OUSD and in the community. And I know dozens of people personally who really benefited from their experiences with both of them. You know, it's a little bittersweet that this honor didn't happen at a time when they could have both been here to enjoy it. And I have to say, for something like this, as important as this, something that's as important as this to a lot of us in the Skyline family, it's disappointing to see that this is how it's being handled. You know, to have a renaming of a field and not have anyone here to speak on it from the community, from the alumni, from their families, it really means that as a district and as leadership of the district, we continue to drop the ball. And to me, it also shows a troubling lack of connection that too many people on the school board actually have with the community. If I would have known that this was a plan, I would have personally made the phone calls to make sure the Skyline alumni were here. You know, many of the same people who were putting on the memorials for Coach Beam not too long ago. And it's just disappointing. And at a certain point, you know, this is long overdue. I'm really happy that this is finally happening. But it feels disrespectful to the communities that this really matters to. So hopefully going forward, if the board is going to honor people who mean a lot to some of us in the community, we can do it in a way where we actually allow the community to come in and participate, enjoy this, and hopefully there's going to be a different ceremony for the naming of the field itself, because both Mr. Fardella and Coach Beam's legacy deserve more than what I'm seeing here tonight. Thank you.
I wanted to just make a comment. I did know Coach Fardella and Coach Beam well, and I also want to mention that Coach Beam's daughter saw her recently at the African American Honor Roll. She participated in that. She's participated in many, many events in the community. It's very stressful for them. I've had personal phone calls with them. I have not talked to Coach Fardella's family, but I know Frankie Navarro is in touch with them. So we are very sensitive to when we ask families to come out to these events. We want it to be a time when it's a celebratory time, but it is very emotional. There's a very emotional context for the families. So I do not want it to be anyone to know that staff has not been in touch with families, that staff has not worked with staff, and the staff has not worked with community. That is not the case.
Are there any other comments? Can we take a roll call, please? A roll call on the vote, please.
Yes, on the roll call to adopt the resolution as stated. Student directors are absent. Director Thompson.
Yes.
Director Barry.
Yes.
Director Hutchinson.
Yes.
Director Williams.
Yes, sir.
Director Lotta.
Yes.
Vice President Bachelor.
Yes.
President Brohard.
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you. We do have a special meeting. I'm sorry, we don't have any student report tonight, and we don't have PSAC. We do have a special meeting, but it is not scheduled to start until 7, and this is probably record time, but we're ahead of our schedule. So we are going to move to labor partner comments. Are there any labor partners online?
Checking to see if I have any collective bargaining units online. President Brewhart, no bargaining units online.
Thank you. We'll now move to the superintendent's report.
Good evening, community, members of the audience, board members. I'd like to start off just highlighting several events that occurred between our board meetings. Most recently, on May 6th, we had the annual STEM Fair, which was much bigger than last year. In fact, it was hosted at the Oakland Coliseum. There were hundreds of students, families, and educators and STEM professionals that attended to view our students' creative science and engineering projects. We had everything from robotics to what I call movable science projects. I truly enjoyed the opportunity of spending time talking with students, hearing them describe their projects. I want to commend the staff for a phenomenal display by school of students' fantastic work. You know, I've been around a long time to see how the science fair has evolved from a small school site science fair, then to the Chabot Science Center, and now at the Coliseum. I want to thank several organizations for supporting us having access to the Coliseum. And by the way, families and staff were able to enter the Coliseum parking lot without fees. I mean, there was a lot of support for this happening. I want to thank the Oakland Roots and Soul for hosting us. This was a very special occasion, which was covered by the press, and just a great acknowledgement of student learning and growth. I also want to acknowledge Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and our partner, the Oakland Public Ed Fund, which does on a regular basis, does literature read-ins. And they had a major read-in on May 4th at 15 elementary schools. There were over 100 volunteers from organizations like the Oakland Literacy Coalition, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Blue Shield, and Lyft that visited schools and read books by Asian and Pacific Islanders to students. They visited schools including Bella Vista, Martin Luther King Elementary, and Manzanita Community and Seed. The Ed Fund says that the read-ins are 90 minutes experiences where volunteers read aloud, and this is something that wasn't an isolated event for Asian Americans, Pacific Islander. This is something that the fund does on a regular basis with our students and with their volunteers. Next, I wanted to highlight Oakland Lacrosse hosted the OAL championships and unveiled new scholarships with a heartbreaking beginning, but something good has come out of something extremely sad. On Saturday, May 16th, the Oakland Lacrosse Club hosted their annual OAL championships, which were won by Oakland Tech boys and girls teams, and the Edinburgh boys and girls teams at the middle school level. During their high school celebration, sadly, we know that there were some students who died in a car crash in 2024, and their families chose to provide what they call Purple One scholarships to students. The first two recipients of those scholarships of $2,500 were Jeremiah Voon, a recent graduate of Dewey Academy, and you'll see them in the picture, and Cesar Carmona Felipe, a recent graduate of Oakland Tech, and their parents were on the scene. Again, this was a wonderful expression of ongoing remembrance of students who lost their lives in a recent car accident. Then moving on, our supporters, great supporters, the Golden State Community Foundation celebrated educators, and they were, during Educator Appreciation Month, the Community Foundation, Golden State Community Foundation, visited Highland Community School, excuse me, where Samantha Keller is principal, and delivered a Mexican food feast and facilitated a surprise visit from Warriors legend Festus Ezeli. The former Warriors Center talked about the importance of work of education and gave the staff lots of trivia questions. He loves to do that, and if you see him on the news, it's a regular occasion. He brought with him a signed jersey, Draymond Green jersey, and one from Valkyrie's Kayla Thornton to support educators at the site. I want to thank the Golden State Community Foundation for continuously supporting our educators. Then I want to move on to a recent Oakland Education Summit that was hosted by the Oakland Ed Fund, where along with Sophia Navarra, who's Oakland's Deputy City Administrator, and Dr. Ingrid Roberson from CDE, formerly an OUSD staff person, and myself, participated in a panel along with other staff persons who talked about our teacher task forces and several issues, current issues that education is facing, and the nexus between what we can do on the city level and on the state level. This was supported by district partners from the Ed Fund as well as Salesforce and Comcast. And we also had with us former Superintendent Kyla Johnson-Trammell and Gary Yee, who were in attendance and part of the discussion. We talked about next generation STEM and support for educators and the retention of educators. And lastly, I want to just highlight our focus on student achievement, where I was in attendance along with many board members at all of these celebrations of student achievement, of students who've achieved 3.0 or above. Certainly we want to increase these numbers, and next time we have the report, I want to share out of how many students in that category. But at the 25th Oscar Wright annual celebration of 2000, there were 2,003 students who received GPAs, African American students with GPAs of 3.0 and above. And by the way, Maria Beam was one of the people who gave out those medals at that event, and that was pretty special. And then at the annual Arab American Student Honor Roll, there were 303 students who received awards. I attended that over at ICS and TCN, and it was very well attended. And then the Pacific Islander Student Honor Roll was held in April, and we had 125 students. And at the Latino Honor Roll, which was held at Fremont High School, that was a major event where we had 3,857 students who had a 3.0 or above. And most recently, Vice President Batchelor attended the Maya Honor Roll, and I'm sure she'll share that, more information about that in her report. There will be many more discussions on really how our students are doing. That should be at the top of our communication at all board meetings, how they're actually doing, and what kinds of things are we doing to support students who need assistance. I want to ask at this point, at the end of my report, I would respectfully ask the board to adjourn the meeting this evening. We lost two wonderful staff people who most recently, Max Robinson III. Any of you who've been in the district anytime have had an interaction with Max, who was a very special person. So I recommend and hope that we would consider adjourning in his memory, as well as Deborah King Cooper, who was another longtime staff person who many people might have known. That's the end of my report, Madam President.
Are there any public comments on this item?
Excuse me, yeah. For public speak for this item, we have Sheila Haynes, Carol Delton, A.V. Ringer, and Asal Olabala.
Take the in-person, Ms. Asada first, and then we'll go to online.
Noted, thank you.
2 minutes.
So much on your plate. It's just a lot. And thank you for being here, all of you. I have been looking at some of the challenges going on in classrooms across this country, and it's quite overwhelming. So a couple of things. Parental support for their children. in the academic arena as well as in the what we call the behavior issues. I think parents are not involved enough. This room should have some parents in it. The other thing is classroom management. Based on some of the behavior challenges, we got young people are different. They really think they can talk to adults as if they are adults. And we have to look at teacher retention because of these challenges. A lot of teachers are walking away, good teachers, and they need support to keep them in the classroom. And that goes for our administrators as well, principals, and anybody involved in the system to do an outreach to people. If you need support, let us know. If something's going on, I just had a relative commit suicide. We didn't know anything was going on. So a lot of people are very stressed. And these teachers, I don't know how they're doing it, but that involves money. But I would just hope that we could do, number one, our students' behaviors in the classroom. And I'm just seeing it from an outside source all across the country. And physical attacks on teachers. Okay, thank you, that's all.
Thank you. The first speaker online is Ms. Haynes.
Yes, we're going to Ms. Haynes. If you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I don't know if I heard right, but I was signed up for the violence prevention presentation. I have over 1,300 supporters that support a ban on hate speech and keeping our kids in the most loving space. I don't want to take it personally, but the board knew I was going to ask for you guys to mandate an official ban. Increases in violence happen during the summertime. So I'm just wondering if there's a reason why this violence prevention presentation was withdrawn. It doesn't show a good look that you guys are putting student safety as a priority to withdraw this item on the last day, the last couple days of school. I mean, I know there's financial challenges, but helping to cut down on violence has a lot to do with our youths being able to talk to each other and respectfully. Lives are being lost. I mean, ever since my resolution was introduced, the board has taken millions away through a block grant and additional cuts to staffing and programs in the arts. Again, I know there's financial challenges, but it doesn't cost money to mandate love and respect. We need to go back to a culture of respect. So I don't understand why that violence prevention presentation was withdrawn. There was many people that were going to speak out about student safety. I mean, while I appreciate that the board has recommitted to a zero tolerance of hate speech, that's not good enough. Lives are being lost. And I don't know what to feel about you guys in terms of student safety, because this presentation was critical for the community and for people to be able to see what the board is actually doing to combat violence. And so I was really looking forward to the presentation. I actually did see on the report that verbal altercations have been witnessed at different school sites. So again, I mean, I would just like to understand why it was withdrawn. It makes my hope of safety being priority for the board. I don't know what to think. I'm just really disappointed.
Ms. Haynes, the presentation was postponed until June 10th at the presenter's request. So that presentation will be held on June 10th. We take that seriously too and wanted to accommodate that request from the presenter. Next speaker, please.
Yes, next register speaker is Carol Down. Go ahead, unmute yourself to speak.
Good evening, board. I did submit an e-comment on the violence prevention report. One of the things that I saw in it from students was request for de-escalation. And there is a program that the district adopted a number of years ago. It's called CPI, or Crisis Prevention and Intervention. It tends to be used very much in special education settings, but it's really for everybody. It's a multi-day training, and the first day is really about recognizing a crisis before it becomes a crisis and helping with the de-escalation process. That is something that could benefit staff around the district to have a common language and therefore be able to support students with more collaboration among staff. And I hope that you will seriously consider, as you have many professional development days, devoting some of that time to this type of intervention, that you can do that consistently and across all settings. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Avery Ringer.
I'm on the thing. Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Thank you. Dr. Sadler, I just want to let you know why I don't want someone who's dishonest as superintendent, because core character and leadership matters. Do you know that after I attempted to speak at the last meeting opposing the extension of your contract for your dishonesty and deceit, I sat down and your deputy superintendent turned around and said to me, "You better watch yourself." Do you know what it feels like as a parent to have a senior official of the district threaten you like that, when every day I leave my daughter in your care? But what can I do about it? Nothing, because I don't trust you. I have nothing against you personally, but if I can't trust you to keep my daughter safe, if I can't trust what you're saying about the district books, then my rights as a citizen are violated. When Ms. Gard saw you be deceitful to your senior staff, she saw what leadership was above her, and she must have internalized that and made it seem okay that she could do that to me. I don't know, but I hope that you will exercise better character in leadership from here forward. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
All speaker's name has been called.
Thank you. Are there board comments? Director Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. Unfortunately, I'm very frustrated with what's been going on. And I found the press release that you sent out, Superintendent Sadler, on Tuesday to be offensive. You know, when you first became superintendent on July 1st, you inherited a balanced budget that the board had approved the June before. Then in September, you notified the community that there was a crisis because the district was overspending by $4 million a month. Then in December, on scenario 3, what you're now referring to as a plan, it stated that there needed to be $27 million in emergency solutions for this year. But now we can see with the original budget that was passed, originally called for $916 million in expenditures for this year. On the second interim, that number had ballooned to $260 million. That's all overspending. And now in the third interim, it's increased even more to $978 million. So that means what was once $4 million a month overspending has at least doubled now at this point. And not only have you not curtailed the overspending or stopped it or looked to make cuts, it's accelerating. But yet you put in a press release that we've solved the problem because of hard work. And that's not what the numbers show. The numbers show that on your watch, this year we are projected to overspend by more than $60 million. And we know we don't have any place to draw those dollars from. So what is really going on with the budget numbers, and how can you call that positive when you haven't stopped the overspending that's occurred on your watch solely in this fiscal year? And that's what your numbers that you're putting out in the third interim report say, that expenditures this year have now projected to go from 916 million to 978 million. So not only have we not cut spending, not only have we not stopped the overspending, it's only gotten worse and worse each month. So I thought you said we had freezes. I thought you said there were measures taken. But spending continues to escalate out of control. And on top of it, now you issue a press release saying this is positive. We finally solved this after decades. That's not what the numbers show. And I also have a real lack of faith now. We have to be able to do better. And I don't understand a PR campaign when we all know what the real numbers are. I've never seen anything like this before. And I know a lot of us feel like we deserve a whole lot better than this. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other board comments? Vice President Batchelor.
Thank you. As Superintendent mentioned, this Saturday at Clinton Park was really a beautiful reflection of what Oakland is at its best. More than 400 of our Mayan Mum students were honored in the first annual Mayan Mum Honor Roll. This community celebration was hosted by Union Maya and Tribe, and it recognized the hard work, academic achievement, and resilience of our students. Families gathered with food, music, and enjoyed the celebration of those cultures, their languages. Again, most of our students are not only bilingual, but most of these students are now trilingual because of their academic excellence. What made this event especially powerful was it was created by students themselves and supported by our OUSD teachers, Christy Grossman and Frida Caro, volunteering their own time alongside dedicated community leaders like Henry Sales Hernandez and Andrew Park. Their collaboration showed what is possible when schools, students, and communities come together to uplift young people. At the same time, in the same park nearby, seniors were practicing Tai Chi, while our Arab families were gathered in the playground with their children. This was really, again, an amazing experience because we were all sharing that space, many cultures, many generations, many traditions, all that make Oakland the vibrant community that it is. These moments remind us that Oakland's diversity is one of our greatest strengths. When our students feel seen, celebrated, and connected in community, they thrive. So congratulations to all the Mayan Mum Honor Roll students. Again, these are students that achieved a 3.7 or above GPA from our middle schools through our high schools. And as Queen mentioned, one of the staff at Tribe, they may not look like me, but they're my family now. I also lastly want to give a shout out to, again, our student athletes from Skyline. Our varsity boys baseball team made a remarkable championship run and recovering from a early 6-game loss to win the Oakland Athletic League Premier Division, and is going to be advancing to the CIF Oakland Selection Tournament. So again, congratulations to our amazing student athletes and scholars.
Director Barry?
Just two really quick things about the report. So one, I did notice, A, thank you. B, I did notice the footnote about the Latino student honor roll and the significant decline in the Latino student population. And it is significant and is falling at a faster rate than, for instance, African American students. And so I, especially at this time of year, and especially because it does impact budget, because it does impact culture of schools and our approach to teaching and learning, just would love to get an enrollment update and whether how we were interpreting shifts this time last year has changed over the last 12 months. And then the other thing at the end of the Educator Summit, The last line spoke to educator support and retention, and I really want to pay a lot more attention there because it's just such a big issue, and it could be an incredible asset, especially at a time like this. And I'm also thinking in particular about how we're not just supporting educators who are teaching in our classrooms, but educators at every level, including our principals, and how we're supporting them as well.
I just wanted to add to the celebrations. I had the opportunity to go to the Dewey graduation this year, and I have to say it was packed. It was at Tech in the auditorium, and watching the students get up to give their speeches and watching how nervous they got, and some of them kind of stopped, but it was the whole audience started cheering and encouraging them to continue with their speeches. And I mean, for a number of these students to see themselves as leaders and as public speakers, I think was, they were both nervous about it, but to see the encouragement of the families, and it was just, it was a very heartwarming graduation. So again, I just shout out to Dewey students. And again, I also share the same concerns about some of the decline in the numbers of students on the honor roll. Also, I hope next time we also have a report maybe on the graduation rates, because yes, I think we've also had some concerns about that. All right, thank you. With that, we are going to make one other adjustment in the agenda. We're going to move into public comments. So if there are anybody who wants to add a speaker card at this point or for public comment, please do so on non-agenda items. Yeah. Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items. No. We're gonna, I feel like we're making you stand up and sit down and stand up and sit down, Mr. Nelson. Do you want to come on up and make your...
Yes, for... Should I call our names?
Yeah.
Okay. Public comment on non-agenda items. We have Carol Denton, Cameron Davis, A.V. Ringer, and Jack Nelson.
Okay. Well, I'll start with Jack Nelson in person and we'll do the others online.
All right. That's good either way. Sorry I'm late. I would have been here on time, but I was at the A's game. My friend still is vice president of operations there, and I took some people home, and I thought I'd be all right, but I'm behind. To say I'm thrilled that you voted 7-0 to name the stadium. The John Beam, Tony Fardella Field. We'll have a slash there, by the way, after John Beam. I want to thank you. As Gomer Pyle would say, thank you, thank you, thank you. Back in the old days there. You got to be over 50 to appreciate that, I guess. But it's been a long, this is my 30th meeting, 7 facilities and 23 board meetings. And I would say I'd do it again. It's worth it. These guys did a lot. I mentioned last time Valerie and Director Thompson and Director Barry were there. Just quickly about John Beam. I got to know him better in 2012. My father was still alive. My father ran the OAL from 69 to 82, and they wanted him to do the coin flip at the Silver Bowl at Laney, and John was the athletic director at that time, just had become it. And I went up because my dad couldn't roll out in his walker. He was getting old, and he died the next year. So I went up to the booth up there, and I said, Coach, didn't really know him that well, so I said, Coach, could you help get my dad somehow out to the 50-yard line so they can do the coin flip? And he said, Joseph, you go get that golf cart right now and take that OAL icon legend Aldo Nelson out to midfield. And I said, whoa, that's pretty good. And it was done like that. And I try to do that myself with things, try to stay on point. And remember, this isn't going to cost you a dime. I'm going to write the check tomorrow. And, you know, I hope September 25th you can all come and we can have the Beam family and the Fardella family. Tanya has gone through breast cancer this year, so that's his daughter. And she was a toddler when I went to Skyline. But I'm hoping you can all come. I'm also hoping in the future, I'm not done. I want to make sure McClymonds get some of the things that they need. And I'm thinking about doing a fundraiser for them and for Skyline. And it's just in my head now, but I'll work on it. I'll tell you about it when I get it in full. I'll finish with this. This means a lot to me. This is one of my most prized possessions, believe it or not. It is my volunteer card. This is my city, and, you know, for better or worse, I'm going to work and volunteer for it for as long as I can and do as many good things as I can. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Mike Hutchinson for his keeping me abreast of things, and Valerie, of course, and Director Barry and Director Thompson for pushing this on to the full board. Thank you very much, because this means a lot. Fardella was big in my life, too. He filled a void for when my dad was running the OAL, and you guys know because you have lots of meetings. My dad wasn't around much, but Fardella was for me, and that's about it. Again, thank you very much, and you won't hear the last of me.
Yeah. You call Mrs. Slattery.
I don't have the
Yes.
ability to thank anybody for the work that has happened at McClymonds. There's nobody to thank because nothing has happened. We had a facilities meeting, and I got some documents. The document that is the geotechnical study for McClymonds was completed September the 30th, 2022. So in that document, there's sulfur concentration, seismic issues, foundation issues, retaining wall issues, high moisture control, not suitable for a vegetable garden, and drainage issues at the school. In the breakdown, I got this. For everything that's going to have a cost factor, it's broken down in 3 pages. As it relates to the contaminated material abatement, 0 amount of money. They say in here that it will be shown in the select demolition report below. So for site demolition, they have an amount of money. But they don't break down, for your understanding, how much of that money is going to go towards contamination material abatement. Something's wrong. The biggest issue going on at McClymonds, one of them, is the contamination of the soil in other places. And you have a listing that will demonstrate how much money you're going to spend, and you got 0. You also have 0 for carpentry. You have 0 amount for electrical issues. You have 0 as it relates to the field. You guys have to stop being so ridiculous as it relates to this McClymonds issue. On the agenda tonight, I'll wait till that item comes up. But I'm not satisfied. I will continue to come back here. It's insulting. It's a slap in the face of these children and teachers that are there. This project was supposed to start the summer of 2025, as far as actual work.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Next speaker is Carol Delton. If you can go ahead and unmute yourself to speak.
Thank you. So I would like to lift up some of what I've been hearing in the community, seeing online on different platforms, very much questioning the accuracy of the third interim that's going to be reported on later tonight. And I think that the communication from the district and board has led to some of that. Since I've been digging into the documents all along and having them match up with each other, I knew that we were headed, that OUSD was headed into a more positive direction. But that wasn't apparent from various things that were put out. And we still don't know, I still don't know whether many of those suggested practices in attachments A, B, and C ever came to pass. So I'm going to ask you again to put out to the community a comprehensive list of the budget adjustments that were done this year and the status of everything that was previously recommended, whether it was completed, whether it's in process and where that is, or whether and why there was a decision that this was not an appropriate way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
All the speaker's name has been called.
We are now going to recess and give KDOL a minute to set up. Our public hearings. Mr. Rakestraw, can we have a roll call to establish quorum, please?
Yes, ma'am. On the roll call for attendance and reconvene of the regular meeting, student directors are absent. Director Thompson.
Here.
Director Latta.
Present.
Director Williams.
Present, sir.
Director Berry.
Present.
Director Hutchinson.
Present.
Vice President Batchelor. President Burhard.
Here.
Quorum present.
Thank you. I'm now opening the public hearing for items, R1 and R2, which will have one presentation voted on together and reported separately. That is item 26-1159A, 4217 Energy Services Agreement, Division of Facilities Planning and Management, and R2 26-1159 Design Build Contract, Solar Photovoltaic Systems, Division of Facilities Planning and Management. We do have a presentation, however, both these items were recommended favorably to the Board of Education by the Facilities Committee.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent Sadler, and community. Thank you for the opportunity to present this item. I'm Pranita Ranbise, the Executive Director of Facilities Planning. We're here this evening to present two related energy and sustainability actions in partnership with Wildan Energy Solutions. Along with me, we do have Shaquan Cornish, who is our project manager, and Elliot, who is with the Wildan team. These actions focus on expanding our new solar generation across campuses and recommissioning existing district-owned solar systems that are currently underperforming. These recommendations support the district's long-term sustainability, climate resilience, and operational efficiency goals. Our ask of the board tonight is we're seeking adoption of the resolutions authorizing the solar PV material procurement strategy to secure the federal investment tax credit opportunity and the recommissioning of our existing solar systems. These actions would allow the district to move quickly to meet the federal safe harbor deadline while advancing broader energy and sustainability goals. In terms of the agenda, we will be presenting an overview, but as President Brohard mentioned, these resolutions, I'm presenting them together, and you have in your packets two separate contracts for both these resolutions. So what is the solar investment tax credit? The Inflation Reduction Act created a significant opportunity for public agencies, including school districts, to receive direct federal reimbursement for eligible clean energy projects. Through the Investment Tax Credit, or ITC Direct Pay program, OUSD can receive approximately 40% reimbursement on eligible solar project costs through a direct cash reimbursement from the IRS. To qualify, the district must meet the federal safe harbor requirement before July 5, 2026 deadline. For projects under 1.5 megawatts, federal guidance requires the district to procure and pay for at least 5% of total project cost and take title to the equipment before the deadline. Under the proposed strategy, OUSD would purchase qualifying solar equipment in advance and safely store the material until installation. Staff believes this is a strategic opportunity to leverage federal funding to reduce long-term utility costs and advance the district's sustainability and climate resiliency goals. So I'm going to talk through three reasons why this opportunity is something for us to consider, one being the cost savings. One of the biggest benefits for this opportunity is a long-term utility saving. These projects are expected to reduce PG&E utility costs of $22 million over their life cycle, hedge against future utility rate increases, support the general fund savings, and create opportunities to continue growing what we have set up as the green revolving fund. The district also expects significant life cycle savings through increased solar production and reduced energy demand. We also want to emphasize that restoring existing systems is important and to maximize that value prior to any future investments as well. The second reason is alignment with our sustainability commitments. So as these projects directly support OUSD's climate emergency resolution and the sustainability policy, Expanding on-site renewable energy reduces dependency on fossil fuel based on electricity and lowers greenhouse gas emissions. The projects also create opportunities for sustainability education and student workforce pathways tied to clean energy infrastructure. In addition, operational savings generated through these projects can help fund future sustainability initiatives district-wide. And then the third reason is our heat mitigation strategy. This ties back to the resolution that we discussed last month as well around air quality and thermal comfort. These projects align with the district's broader heat mitigation and climate resilience strategies. Solar shade structures and canopies can help reduce surface temperatures and improve student comfort on campuses. It reduces electrical demand, also supporting future cooling and HVAC improvements at sites with aging infrastructure, also something that has been identified as a priority in our facilities master plan. Utility savings from solar can also support additional investments in shade, greening, cool roofs, and student wellness improvements. So as I mentioned, there are two contracts that you're going to see in front of you. The first contract is around the new solar safe harbor procurement. This is with regards to the solar PV design, build, and material procurement contract. This contract authorizes early procurement of solar PV modules to preserve eligibility for the federal ITC incentives. Materials would be purchased, titled to the district, and stored in an insured warehouse until installation. The strategy allows OUSD to meet the federal deadline while continuing to finalize project scope, sites, pricing, and implementation schedules. The second one is around solar recommissioning. This proposed action focuses on recommissioning existing district-owned solar systems. So this includes existing conditions assessment, monitoring and inverter upgrades, repair and replacement of failed components, and restoration of our solar production. Current analysis shows that many systems are producing significantly below expected levels. So our goal is to restore these systems closer to full operational performance and maximize long-term savings from prior investments. In terms of the fiscal impact, before I turn this over to Shaquan Cornish, the funding source that has been identified is from Measure Y. This is from the earned interest from some of our Measure Y projects. These do not impact any existing project allocations identified within Measure Y. I'll pass it on to Shaquan.
Good morning, evening, I should say. Jaquan Cornish, project manager with facilities. So wanted to touch on the recommended new solar PV sites. So this slide provides a summary of the 7 proposed solar expansion sites, and the proposed projects include rooftop systems, carport canopies, and shade structures, depending on the site conditions, of course. And these locations are proposed again, and we will revisit to ensure that we create the most impactful and beneficial location for our students and the school community. The projects are expected to generate significant first-year savings, as Pranita mentioned, and again, expending on renewable energy throughout the district. The initial safe harbor material procurement across all 7 sites is approximately $669,000. That is the amount that we will need to cut a check for to safe harbor the solar ITC. And to touch on the financials, this slide provides an overall program summary of the financials for the new solar sites as well as the recommissioning sites. The totals you see here represent the 30% phase, which are rough orders of magnitude, and these are the proposed estimates about how much the solar will cost for the new sites, the recommissioning, the first year savings, the savings over the 25-year life cycle, and the incentives that we will receive from the ITC direct pay. The proposed solar expansion program is estimated at approximately $8.9 million. Solar recommissioning is approximately $1.5 million. And to be transparent, the contracts also include a different amount, so that the total contracts that we're bringing to you today for the new solar are 12.5, and then the recommissioning is 2.5, and those deltas provide space for design approvals and any construction contingencies that we may need to tap into during construction. Again, to mention, it's about $440,000 total together for new solar recommissioning for that first year. And then we're estimating approximately $22 million over the 25 years for the 7 sites and the 16 recommissioning sites. And to close, you know, we really believe that this is a great opportunity for us, and there's a strong long-term operational and financial investment for the district that we can directly put back into our general fund and to potentially include into our green revolving fund that will also just support additional sustainable and energy efficiency projects for the future of the district. And just to touch on the next steps, so last week we brought this to the Facilities Committee, and we're here to bring this to the board tonight. So what we're going to do is immediately after hopeful board approval, we'll be procuring and titling the solar material so that we can secure the ITC by that July 5th date. We'll then work with our partner Willdan to finalize the project scope, the pricing, guaranteed savings, and the implementation schedules with Willdan, and then we'll bring that back to the Facilities Committee for review and hopeful back to the board after that. And we anticipate we'll get through the design phases and get through DSA fall 2026 of this year, and we would love to start installing the new solar projects during the summer of 2027 to obviously minimize the disruption to school session. And we will also be immediately addressing the recommissioning sites as well. That's an effort that will be happening at the same time as the design for the new sites. And we're happy to take any questions if you have them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Not yet. You have to
sorry.
You have to finish the hearing.
Is there a second part to this? That's it? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
And
close
then
the hearing.
public comment.
The hearing is.
Public comment.
Sorry
Before
about
closing the
that.
hearing.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this?
We do not have any registered speakers.
Board member comments.
Board comments? Director Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. Especially with what just happened with the vote, the special meeting with the third interim. I can't suspend disbelief anymore. I can't trust the numbers and the documents that were being shown. I can't trust fiscal analysis that's being put in front of us. I also have real concerns about how Measure Y has been used. And dipping into these funds in all sorts of ways. But with the way the district's finances have been managed over the last 16 months, I'm scared to approve anything that's being put in front of us. There was no real work to talk about this collectively or to gain an understanding or for the board to engage to make sure this was the best deal for us, or even to make sure our limited facility bond dollars can even be stretched in this way when we still don't even have a new school at McClymonds yet. You know, we just had a third interim where we can see that spending has exploded this year. This is a part of it, that this board keeps taking on new projects and new spending, whether it's in the facilities bond or it's in the general fund, with no real acknowledgement that we have limited resources, with no real acknowledgement that if we spend $1 over here, that means there's $1 we can't spend over here. And when we're doing this without a plan, without a framework, without overarching policy that dictates how these decisions should be made and what order we should prioritize things, we're just in free fall. You know, I have real concerns and issues with what's gone on with the facilities department. Once the head of facilities, the former head of facilities, Kenya Chapman, was no longer working here in the district. I have concerns about how the new head of facilities was hired. I have concerns who did the hiring, especially with the way the district is now. You know, I helped author the last reprioritization of Measure Y before. We made certain decisions then. There was supposed to be an overall lead abatement plan for the whole city to address that issue once and for all. Generational work. Haven't seen anything. Projects keep getting added ahead of it. This is not how things are supposed to work. This is not how we as a school board are supposed to decide how to dedicate $15, $20 million in funds, encumbering the district for a decade or longer. There's a level of seriousness and work that's involved, and I just don't see it. And when staff can't answer basic questions about our finances, how can I then trust other staff when they present information? Thank you.
I'd like to hear from the facilities chair. I know you guys discussed this in the board meeting, in your committee meeting.
Yes, thank you. And for those who haven't tuned in, facilities committee meetings are fun. So please join us, and we have conversations about all of these different areas, as well as the next meeting. We're also going to have an in-depth conversation about all the different types of facilities, restricted dollars that we have, and take a deep dive into that as well. So for those who may not know, Measure Y dollars, there is an allocation for climate resiliency and heat mitigation that's included in Measure Y already. That doesn't touch any of the major projects that are coming up in the Measure Y spending plan. We also, in the later part of the meeting, will have the opportunity to be voting on items to actually move forward with the different projects that are part of Measure Y. But I'd like to ask Ms. Rambisi if you can come up and talk a little bit about this specific solar project. How can we use our bond dollars for this project? And again, can you talk a little bit more about the bond interest as well?
Thank you for that question. Certainly, there are two elements maybe that I'll touch a little bit, and this is going to be in the spending plan presentation that we plan to bring back to the full board in June as well. Some of the priorities that we have heard within the master plan and through resolutions and from you all is around heat mitigation strategies, air quality, thermal comfort, sustainability, and our commitment to the sustainability policy and the climate emergency action resolution, and the solar and energy infrastructure. So within the spending plan, staff is bringing that back to be able to allocate some of our contingency funds to some of these initiatives. It's prioritized within the master plan. This is also what we have heard through the community as well. Specifically for these projects, the overall program is proposed to be funded through Measure Y bond interest earnings that we have, and we're not, as you mentioned, Director Abashar, we're not allocating or reallocating any funds from any major projects. As part of the Measure Y cash flow management, the district earned interest on unspent bond funds while projects were in design, DSA reviews, regulatory reviews and approvals, procurement, and as we start now to launch our construction phases. So this interest, this earned interest, is what we're recommending we allocate to the solar infrastructure. So this does not, again, impact any identified projects within the Measure Y spending plan, as well as we have been maintaining a really steady and strong contingency.
Thank you. And we've also, again, been really clear about projects that are supportive of the climate emergency as well as budget savings. I also had an additional question, but it escaped me. But thank you so much.
Are there any other board questions? Director Berry?
Just two clarifying questions. So one, the $22 million in life cycle savings, that alleviates general fund? And is that the life cycle defined as 10, 20? I can't remember.
Yeah. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. So the $22 million is projected life cycle savings over the course of 25 years For solar projects, we use 25 years because that's what the panels are warranted for. How it's, it is fair to note that these systems potentially could last longer, but we're going to use a conservative 25 years to match the warranty. Those are avoided PG&E costs through electricity produced by the solar panels, both the new solar as well as the recommissioned solar sites. And so that's how we have projected out for that $22 million.
Are there any other board questions?
I can answer part of your other question. It's both the green revolve. Actually, we are trying to use those funds back into the green revolving fund to be able to invest back into energy or sustainability efforts at the facilities.
And then that 5% cost that we incur, do we have to pay that up front, or can you commit to paying it and pay it later?
Getting my steps in tonight, thank you.
Sorry.
So you, if approved this evening, you are essentially approving for that material order. So ordering the solar panels, which equates to 5% of the total projected cost. That is a requirement from the IRS about how you basically get grandfathered in for the expiring incentive. So if approved tonight, we have an invoice ready to go. We would do everything needed before the deadline to ensure the panels are titled over and you're essentially in the queue for that expiring incentive.
And if the scope of work or the plans change, do we recoup those costs?
Yeah, so we wanted to be fully eyes wide open to the potential risk of that. And so what we've worked with district administration to do is that there would be a very minimal restocking fee of 10% of that $600,000 approximate if the project doesn't move forward. So the risk is about $60,000, but you'd have the opportunity to return the panels if you decide not to move forward.
Any other board questions? Director Williams.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I think I'm going to speak to the recommended solar PV site details, and Prescott is listed on there, and I just want to get some clarification about shade structure. Prescott has expressed concern about that previously when the first rounds of solar panels went out, because the blueprint proposal was to put it in the middle of the playground. And what we've seen is that has happened in my district in Hoover Elementary. It's right in the middle of the playground, as well as Martin Luther King. It's right in the middle of the playground. So my concerns really is, are we going to have conversations with the Prescott family team, as well as the administrator, Ms. Dewana Slaughter, and the community to really try to find the best place to allow the shade structure to happen, because it just will be devastating again, where it's restricting our young folks to be able to. And I think on the board agenda we have another project that is coming for landscaping, building out a playground for the young folks at Prescott. So there's a couple things that are happening coming next year. So the question really is, are we going to sit down and have that conversation to see what does it look like? Because the last time it was, you take this or leave it. And they said, take it somewhere else, right? So I hope that we're open to have those conversations moving forward.
Thank you for that question. Yes, absolutely. We will be working with each individual site as well as the site administrators in the community to be able to best identify what the design and the layout looks like. Right now, we have just identified the locations and the type of solar installation, and then we would definitely be re-engaging with the communities to better align with ongoing projects like the Living Schoolyard project at Prescott.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Director Barry.
Because it's on the agenda tonight, a presentation on the local business utilization plan, can you speak to how that will be applied to this project?
I believe for our bond measure spending or projects within the bond measure Y, the LBU policy would apply just in the same manner that would apply to any of our projects. So we will certainly be going through the same process as we would have with any of our Measure Y projects.
Just to add a little additional context, one of the subcontractors we're planning to use for the recommissioning effort lives here in Oakland. So we did try to take account and be mindful of your LBU requirements. Obviously, we're adhering to the PLA, and part of our, a process and approach when responding to the initial RFQ was how we can be impactful and help the local community. And so we intend to do that with the first phase of solar projects here.
That the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt the R1 and R2 and report out separately?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rakestraw, can we have a roll call on the vote, please?
Motion as stated. The student directors are absent. Director Williams?
Yes, sir.
Director Hutchinson?
Abstain.
Director Lauder?
Yes.
Director Barry?
Yes.
Director Thompson?
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor?
Yes.
And President Brohart?
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Projects are approved.
All right, we'll move on to O with the exemptions of O1. No. I'm sorry, O21. This is the next item. The general consent report is the next item. Minus O21. Yes, minus O21. Is there a motion on general consent minus O21?
So moved.
Second.
Wonderful. Board colleagues, any comments? Director Hutchinson?
Thank you. So, I think today, with the presentation of the third interim, hopefully it became clear to more people why I haven't voted on a consent report in over a year. So when we saw in the third interim report how spending this year has exploded and how overspending has increased, a lot of that's because of the consent report that comes forward at every meeting. These are additional costs, most of these, above what was budgeted for at the start of the year. Yet they just keep coming forward. And the other thing that is a real concern is when you look through this, there's not a lot of fiscal impact analysis within the consent report. I firmly believe that we don't have the internal capacity anymore in OUSD to do a fiscal impact analysis. And when people can't explain numbers around projected expenditures, I'm really worried that how can I trust those same people then to do a fiscal impact analysis on all the contracts and resolutions coming forward? When we see money getting scooped up from restricted dollars in questionable ways, how can we then trust this going forward? And what should have really happened this year, since we were in a financial crisis and we had a large projected deficit for next year, at some point there should have been a moratorium on new spending. Some accounting of maybe we can't do all of these things in the consent report right now. But no, we've just barreled headlong into this, spending more and more each meeting. And our pie is limited. We have a finite set of resources. So for every dollar we spend on these consent reports are dollars that we can't spend other places. And I hear a lot of talk all the time about wanting to reduce contracts and consultants. I challenge somebody to look through this consent report and add up how much money in contracts there are to consultants and advisors. Because it sure hasn't been items in the consent report to hire more OUSD staff, more union OUSD staff. It's all of these outside contracts. And this is what's largely driven the overspending that continues to this point. So hopefully more people will see the through line and the implications of this just wanton spending, just saying yes to every contract that comes forward in a consent report, nothing being vetted, not having a real internal financial team to do that work. This is the outcome. This is the outcome. And this is what happens when you pay consultants to be your financial advisors. For this year, $800,000 instead of getting free help from the county from experts. So what's really going on? Who's in charge of our dollars? And when are we going to put a stop to them putting us in financial ruin, which is what we are facing right now. Whether they call it a positive budget certification or not, the numbers are the numbers. Thank you.
Director Thompson? Director Latta? Director Williams? Director Berry? I would just like to uplift the following items on consent. O11, which is a Skyline High School dining room improvements for some outdoor seating spaces and meal areas. This is, again, going to improve the life of folks on that campus. Also, 51, which is the Pathway Summer Work-Based Learning Program, the ECHO program, which is exploring college, career, and community opportunities. This is through the Oakland Ed Fund that gives our students a stipend to support them through work-based learning for our high school students, again, at Skyline. Next, O33, which is EL Education. This is a conference for 2 of our MLA teachers to attend. Again, I hope that they're able to learn everything they can to bring it back into the classroom and support our students. And then O69, Washington Early Childhood Center and TK Space. This is an item that is actually totally funded. The $19 million is funded by the Oakland Children's Initiative. It's the same number, because folks might remember the $19 million that we're getting funded for Garfield. It's the same number because of the number of classrooms that we're going to be opening up for TK there. Because it's a modular build, it's going to be speedier. We're not going to have to go through an arduous DSA approval like we did for McClymonds. If the contract is passed today, work will start soon after, and then the school year 27-28 is when we will be able to actually enroll our TK students into that space. So I'm really excited about, again, the expansion of transitional kindergarten in that way. Any public comment on this agenda item, Mr. Seychow?
Yes, we have Carol Delton, A.V. Ringer, and Osalo Olabala.
Great.
I do see Ms. Delton online.
I don't see Mrs. Sada in person either.
Thank you for calling on me. I'd like to clarify that when I spoke about overspending on contracts, that is a pattern years back. The people who analyzed it went back 4 years from last year. So we're not actually talking about this year, and I certainly hope that the pattern changes. It's been a long-standing issue. To speak specifically about some of the contracts, I also noticed the 2 contracts with Oakland Public Education Fund totaling around $160,000. One of them specifies that 10% of the money will be retained by the fund for administration. The other one doesn't specify. So I'm concerned about developing a better cover sheet for this board and better specifications for this type of contract. And especially what happens if not all of the students are able to take advantage of the opportunity. How can OUSD account for and make sure that the money is refunded to OUSD so that it would be available to other students? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seychow, any other speakers?
No, that includes public speakers.
Can we take a roll call on this item, which is general consent?
Yes, on the roll call to adopt the general consent, this is general consent report number 1 minus item dash dot dash 21. Student directors are absent. Director Berry,
Yes.
Director Hutchinson,
Abstain.
Director Williams,
Yes.
Director Latta,
Yes.
Director Thompson,
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor,
Yes.
and President Brohard.
Yes.
The consent report is adopted minus item 0.-21.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to 0.-21. I believe Director Brohard, you're the one who pulled this item.
Yeah. This proposed resolution authorizes the superintendent or designee to identify documents and retroactively reclassify eligible expenditures from the general fund to legally permissible restricted funds for fiscal years within the applicable records, retention period, and generally 3 to 5 years. Financial restatement is a process of revising previously issued financial statements to correct material errors. It's in compliance with generally accepted accounting principles. The auditor has been involved in this process. The auditor is the auditor available tonight? No, okay. So again, this has been a process that's done with our finance team and with the auditor who audits our budgets. So again, I would encourage my colleagues to support this resolution.
Madam President, we need a motion. Second.
I make a motion to approve 021.
Second. Board colleagues, Director Berry, Director Williams, Director Latta, Director Thompson, Director Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. I've never seen or heard of this one before. And this is not something OUSD has done. To have an effort to look back over previous years, 3 to 5 years, to look to reclassify spending that happened in this year, in those years, from restricted to unrestricted or vice versa. After those numbers have already been audited, after we've closed the books, past every audit, a lot of these numbers, after we left receivership now and we got the gold seal of approval. So what is the purpose of this resolution? What is the purpose of reclassifying dollars? Is this some accounting trick to generate more money on paper now? So there really should be an explanation. This is not something that should be buried in the consent report. This is definitely something that should have been discussed at the Budget and Finance Committee first. But I'd really like a larger explanation, especially on the financial impact and what kind of savings we're looking to achieve in our unrestricted general fund by doing this. Because again, I've never heard of reclassifying previous year's dollars. I would really like to know whose idea it is. I mean, the memo had Superintendent Sadler, Ms. Garr, and General Counsel Lindsay's name on the document. So there should be something that says what we're looking to gain from this, what dollar amount, why are we pursuing this now, and how are we really doing this when all of these past numbers were already certified. So it'd be really good if there was an answer, because again, I've been watching OUSD's budget and finances for 15 years. I've never seen this happen before, and this is not the normal practice that school districts engage in. So a clarification would be really nice, and I think justified in this case, both for the board and for the community at large. So I'm specifically asking, what are the financial implications? Why are we doing this? How much money is this supposed to free up, and where?
Superintendent, may I? Deputy Superintendent Garr will answer the financial questions, but I think I can cover a portion. So you mentioned that this is coming from the superintendent, deputy superintendent, and myself, and I want to just share with the board as a part of that, the reason that it's coming from the three of us is that we have quality controls in place such that as we're looking at these type of steps, we have myself reviewing for legal concerns, but behind myself, I also have outside counsel available to check each and every one of these. And for Deputy Superintendent Guard, as she's doing her work, she also checks with the auditor. And then we also have our superintendent, who's also in communication with the County Office of Education and their superintendent as we're taking this walk. And it's essentially a continuation of the primary strategy that's been named in the stabilization plan, which is looking at restricted dollars and right sizing to ensure that we're using those first where appropriate.
So, thank you. My question was specifically about what kind of savings do we look to achieve and from where. I didn't question whether it was legal or not. I just said we've never done this before, and it's really hard to internalize it with everything else going on.
Deputy
This is really setting off
Superintendent
red
Gard,
flags.
if you can come up and answer the question on the finances, that would be appreciated.
Sure. I couldn't say whether we've done it before or not. I mean, it could have been because, again, it was in plans from back in 2017 where we talk about the use of restricted funding and prioritizing it. So I'm going to go back to look to see if we have prior. However, what we're doing is, I'll give you an example. Medi-Cal billing is one where the billing funds that we were getting, we weren't getting in time, so we were covering it with general purpose funds. And you can pay back the general fund when those funds come in. So we're looking at what has been expended out of the general fund, and if it compliantly should have been paid by another fund, then you can move the funding back to the general fund. So you're just paying back the general fund.
And I'm sorry, just so everyone's explicitly clear, when this resolution explicitly is looking at previous years. So it's not about a policy of using our restricted dollars first going forward. This is looking at previous years that have already closed their books and already been audited and trying to move money around in those previous years. I heard 3 to 5 years into the past.
So it doesn't say use your restricted dollars first going forward. It just says use your restricted dollars first. And so what we're doing is looking at it going forward, and we're looking at what has happened, and that is in our current year, and we've looked at it in the previous year. And as our general counsel said, we're not just sitting and doing things and trying to make maneuvers. We're looking at what can be compliantly moved and paid, moved into restricted funds. How can the general fund be paid back for things that it had covered that should have been paid through our restricted dollars compliantly?
And is there a projected total that we're looking to achieve or that we're hoping to achieve?
We're finding it as we're looking through each thing because we don't know if it's compliant. We're not going to do for example, we looked at facilities, and it looked like could have been upwards of $23 million. But we're looking line by line. So it's not a matter of how much can we get. It's a matter of what the general fund paid for, and if there is excess in the restricted dollars and it's compliant to be paid through there, then we can pay the general fund back.
So what would be the danger of waiting till we've done the work to see how much we can actually achieve through it and then come forward with a resolution after that work has been done? I'm really uncomfortable with voting on something and saying, yes, let's do this, when we're still talking hypothetical and it hasn't been looked through. You don't need this resolution to pass in order to preview that work to see how much savings we could find for the unrestricted general fund. And so this blanket approval, not having any dollars connected to it for something that we haven't done before, I'm very uncomfortable with it. And I think it's backwards. This is not how we should do work. I would expect somebody to say, hey, we found that if we do this one thing, we can free up $23 million in our unrestricted general fund. You bring that dollar amount, and then the board would say, yes, that's what we want to do, especially if it's going to achieve that amount of savings. So it just makes me really uncomfortable to authorize changing past determination, and we don't even have specifics on what we're talking about.
Director Hutchison, I just want to say, in talking with our auditor and talking with staff and actually having conversations with the county, what we're doing is we are looking at all of our systems, and we're looking back and finding that we have spent money in some cases that should have been spent out of restricted funds, and we're making plans to identify that, and we want the board to know that we are going through that process. We want you to be absolutely clear that it's something that we're doing as a part of becoming more fiscally solvent, but also looking at our systems around making sure we're very clear about how we spend every dollar. And we looked at the funds that were listed in this report, the third interim report. We're looking at all of those funds, the cafeteria funds, facilities funds, what we're spending in the academic side, things that could have been spent, special ed, all of our funds, to make sure that we're booking them appropriately. And we have identified some areas where we haven't consistently. So this is something that we want you to be aware that we are looking at this process. We're going to have specific information to bring back to the board once we complete the process. But
so why are we being asked to vote on this now if that list and that hasn't been determined? You say you're finding these dollar amounts, then all I'm asking for, and all I've been asking for, is then produce what's been found so we know what we're talking about.
I'm just saying we're asking you to ratify the process that we're using, that's all.
So, and I would say I want to know numbers and what this could achieve before I'm going to give a blanket ratification to go back and change these things. When you say that you've done work and you've identified things, but nobody has any numbers or documents to show that.
Thank you.
It's backwards.
Director Barry, yeah, you're next.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify because I read the resolution in that way, and I think you were starting to explain it. So the way I read it is that this resolution gives you the authorization to do the work, and any retroactive reclassification would have to come back to the board for approval. So we're not approving any action today except to allow you to do the intellectual exercise.
May I? So I just to be clear, because there's different funds involved, there's also different rules. There's a different California code and federal rules associated with Fund 13, for example. And for Fund 12, there's CFR that is for Fund 12, early childhood. And for Fund 25, for building, there's all different rules. So that's the reason why there's a 3 to 5 year period look back that is applicable depending on the funding source. Some of them require specific action to come back to the board as you ratify or approve certain line items and amounts. And others, if it's within a certain time frame, it does not. And so, but in any event, the board will have all of those numbers before him. It'll depend on the funding source. So that's the reason why.
Essentially, I'm going to try to do it in 25 characters or less. Some will come back for board approval and others won't, and it depends on the fund.
Yes, and this is, you're ratifying the process here. You're approving us to move forward with the process. But in any event, everything that is done in the budget is a part of budget adoption. So it all
got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Brohard? Okay. Director Williams?
Yes. Just real quick, I do want to thank the superintendent as well as the deputy superintendent for moving this forward. What we did realize in January was that there were transactions that were miscoded. We identified that, and we've saved multi-millions of dollars because we identified that the monies that we were using, our general funds, were actually reducing our particular ability to pay our deficit. So thank you for identifying that in January. And I think this is just an extension of the process. If we identified it in January, then there's possibly opportunities to look back in the past to really address some of the issues that may have been miscoded. And I think you should have the authority to actually go back over the last 3 to 5 years to see what particular funds have been miscoded. And if they have, you bring that forth. If not, then move on. But I appreciate that you're thinking about ways of being more accountable. And this is really not like about not a budget cut, but a budget correction, that every dollar recovered through reclassification is a dollar that goes back that works for our students. So I really appreciate that you're trying to find more money to invest into our schools and our students. Thank you very much.
And my only comment will be I appreciate Director Williams for being the one that's rang the alarm ever since I've been on the board around the transfers of monies from the unrestricted fund to the restricted funds. And I think this is another course correction that we are making. And I think it is about time that we make some of these course corrections. So with that, can we go ahead and take a vote on O21? Public comment on this item. Any public commenters would like to comment on this item?
Yes, we have Carol Delton.
I'd like to remind folks in public, if you would like to get up and make a public comment, you can, since this item was pulled, but go ahead.
Thank you. So I have attended a lot of audit committee meetings over the last decade. The auditor is always very clear that the section of the audit, the fiscal audit, is looking at the transactions. Did you cut this check? Did you cut it from the fund that you said you cut it from? Was it correctly deducted from the balance? And so on. Since the general fund can cover so many different things, it's a business and management decision in discretion to decide for some expenses whether they will be charged to the general fund. And in some cases, there have been emergencies where certain facilities issue needed solving right away because it was a sewer main that burst. And that would be an example of going to the general fund. So I very much hope that you will vote in favor of this motion and the systems that will keep all of the funds used to the maximum possibility for the purposes for which they were designed. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other folks in public, anybody raise their hand online?
That was the only hand.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and take a vote on this item.
On the roll call to adopt item 0.-31, which is file ID 26-1362, as stated. Director Thompson?
Yes.
Director Barry?
Yes.
Director Hutchinson?
No.
Director Williams?
Yes, sir.
Director Lauder?
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor?
Yes.
President Brohard?
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you. And as chair, I would like to go ahead and move T up, and we'll take T2 first, since we have some local business owners that have been patiently waiting in this board meeting. And then we'll take T1 and then T3. Apologies, everyone, for the last minute change.
Thank you.
Madam Vice President,
Yes.
What that item is?
Yes, T2.
All I heard was the T's.
T2, capital programs and construction-related local and small business and small local residential resident business enterprise program.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President, Board of Education, and Superintendent. Thank you for the opportunity to present the annual Local Business Utilization Report this evening. I'm happy to share that the report's findings will be positive news for the Oakland Unified School District and the Oakland community. I'm Shonda Scott, CEO and founder of 360 Total Concept, a second-generation business owner in Oakland. I was born in Oakland, Oakland Old Naval Hospital. Went to Oakland Public Schools, and when I was growing up, my mom was a school nurse in the district as well. I started the company 20 years ago, and for 2 decades, we have been doing the monitoring compliance for small business programs for both public and private entities. Most of our team are from Oakland and raised in Oakland, and many of us still live here. Tiffany Knuckles, there you are, okay, who will present with me is an Oakland resident. She went to Oakland, grew up in Oakland as well, and she's the lead on the district's project for us, overseeing the monitoring compliance for the board's local business utilization policy. Because of this shared connection, I'm truly honored to be here and to do this work with the district to ensure that local businesses have the opportunities to participate on district projects. And just to start, we have a few local business owners that are here that we have spotlighted in this video, and some are here as well. So if we could just start our presentation with the first slide, or do I do that? Is that just, okay,
For nearly 2 decades, Oakland Unified School District has remained committed to ensuring that public investment in school facilities also supports Oakland communities. In 2008, the district established its local business utilization policy to intentionally expand opportunities for Oakland-based businesses. Since then, local business participation has increased from 6% to 50%, with a reinvestment of over $500 million back into the local economy.
Born and raised in Oakland, went to Oakland schools. My mother actually worked for the Oakland Unified School District as a cafeteria lady for 24 years. We stayed in Oakland, and the fact that we can stay here, contribute back, and make a living here, you know, send our kids to school here is everything.
You know, the ability to actually open opportunities for others to carry the torch forward into the future, as folks did with me coming up, is a big deal for me.
I was a part of the Oakland Unified School District. I went to Fremont High in 2005, and I just remember the sense of anxiety that I got when I was arriving at school. And when I look at Fremont High now, it looks like a safe environment, and that's something that I'm proud of. We are currently on that project, yes, for both phases.
Having been a student at OUSD, did take pride, okay, in making sure that we participate in projects that will benefit students, the community, workers, and we get the word out.
The small local business program has really given a foothold to those companies that are interested in construction and engineering. At Tulum, we have 65% of our employees are Hispanic, 30% are Black, okay? And the other percentage are women. So we've been able to blend our communities in a strong company because we have a vested interest in what the city and the opportunity OUSD has brought to us.
And to help and to implement the board's policy, Team 360 acts on behalf of the district at handling the compliance and monitoring and working closely with the superintendent's office and the facilities department to ensure that the program is executed based on the board's policy and with fairness. Just a little bit about how the program came about, a little background. Like Tiffany mentioned, in 2008, the board passed their first local business policy, but it was based on the fact that communities came and raised the issue that Oakland businesses were not participating on Oakland projects. And then when the board gained local control, they looked at the data and saw that 94% of the district's dollars on the bond side as well as the general fund side were being spent with businesses outside of Oakland. And on the bond side, we know that's the voter-approved bond dollars. So the local businesses and the local residents that are paying the property taxes, all that money was being spent out. But in 2008, as a response to the findings and the community's concern, the board established its first race and gender-neutral local business utilization policy, modeled after the City of Oakland's policy. Oakland Unified School District's program has become a strong model to continue investing in economically challenged communities through the utilization of small local businesses and how that impacts the diversity of the contracting pool as well. And that is a direct success credit to the district and its leadership to continue to have a program such as this. This program, during financially challenging times, actually helped local dollars and local businesses when there were times where federal and state dollars were not coming back to the city. So that's what 2008 looked like at the time, and that's what we continue to see. I'm happy to see former board member James Harris here. He and Director Torres led the effort to have the policy then increase from the original 20% local participation to the now where it's 50% participation as a requirement. So that happened in 2014. And now I'll pass it to Tiffany, and Tiffany will go through more of the project details, the implementation efforts, and the outcomes from the local business utilization program.
Shonda, good evening, everyone. So okay, as Shonda mentioned, my name is Tiffany Nichols. I am with 360 Total Concept. I am Community Relations Manager as well as a project lead for the LBU Compliance Program for OUSD. Our presentation today is organized into 6 sections. We will briefly provide an overview of the program and policy history. We'll share the 2025 annual priorities. We'll take a look at program performance, outreach efforts, and end with recommended next steps. I'm gonna skip this slide because we covered this in our intro. This here is our team. Our work is supported by a multidisciplinary team focused on compliance oversight, community engagement, media communications, and strategic program development. I will say that in the interest of time this evening, some of the slides will be skipped during this presentation, but the full deck is available online. Slide here. So our team partners with the Facilities Planning and Management Department to oversee implementation of the district's local business policy, BP 7115. Our role includes compliance monitoring over the life cycle of contracts, contractor outreach and engagement, and technical assistance. We also work with the district to ensure the policy evolves and is responsive to changes in government contract code, as well as general best practices for local business programming overall. The district already sets a model for this type of program, and we want to continue to ensure that we strengthen the program, whether that be through the use of innovative tools, creative outreach strategies, or useful and supportive resources for the contractor community. All right, so now we're just going to provide a brief overview of the LBU policy over time. Shonda briefly spoke about this already. This slide just outlines common terminology found throughout the presentation for your reference. In here, to explain the LBU requirement a bit more, we have this slide. Currently, and as of 2014, the district local business requirement is 50% for projects funded through bond measures. That requirement includes a minimum of 25% local business participation, along with at least 25% participation from small local resident businesses. And we like to clarify that the district is not a certifying agency. However, the district does recognize certifications from multiple approved agencies in order to expand access and increase the pool of eligible Oakland-based firms. These agencies do the due diligence and complete site visits to verify that firms meet the local and size standards. And those agencies are listed here on the screen. However, unique to OUSD is the SLRB, the Small Local Resident Certification. So OUSD does certify firms as SLRBEs when they are a small local business and the owner of that firm is an Oakland resident. This slide here outlines the benefits and some myths of the LBU program. What we know is that the LBU program generates multiple community benefits, including economic reinvestment, local job opportunities, and stronger partnerships between diverse firms. However, some of the common myths and misconceptions regarding local firms have no basis in data and are often naturally mitigated by the development of actual partnerships and management of logistics. What the data does consistently demonstrate is that local firms are capable of successfully delivering on large-scale projects, again, particularly when supported through intentional partnerships and outreach. All right, and so now we're going to move into just looking at some of the major priorities and accomplishments from 2025. In 2025, our program priorities focused heavily on strengthening compliance systems, refining policy recommendations, and improving transparency. We conducted an audit of board-approved contracts to ensure that contracts were following the LBU, the proper LBU protocol for documentation. We advanced recommendations for modernization of the current LBU policy based on evaluations of the program and identify ways to enhance the policy. And we also streamlined the verification procedures for non-City of Oakland certified firms to creating a digital application process for ease of use and data collection. Did I turn it off? Okay. All right. So this slide here reflects just the cumulative monitoring of LBU data between June 2022 and December of 2025 at the close of Q4. During the reporting period, the district monitored approximately 377 million in contracts where LBU was monitored, with a cumulative LBU spend of 175 million. Based on what was contracted through 2025, upon contract completion, the estimated local participation projections are approximately 244 million, and that's tracking at 64%, significantly above the district's 50% requirement. And for us, this demonstrates sustained program performance, even as project scopes and contract values change over time. This slide here, this slide highlights several major capital improvement projects that are currently underway or recently completed. The projects listed here are all projected to meet or exceed the district's 50% requirement. And these numbers, again, I want to reiterate that they're based on work that was completed through Q4 2025. All right, and then here we have a slide that highlights two of our outreach engagements in 2025. We hosted multiple workshops and matchmaking events focused on improving contractor access and strengthening understanding of the local business policy. Our matchmaking events allows small businesses to connect directly with projects teams and prime contractors for possible teaming opportunities, and our technical assistance workshops focus on clarifying LBU protocols, expectations, and available resources. We have a gallery of photos here, but we're going to skip that. So now we're going to start to wind down with our next steps. Moving forward, the focus is to continue refining the policy recommendations, support the build out of the student career development program, expand opportunities for local firms through trainings, workshops, and compliance support. And we plan to continue quarterly leadership briefings to ensure ongoing accountability and program visibility. Ultimately, the goal is continuous improvement and long-term community impact. All right, one exciting next step is the OUSD Career Development Program. So in partnership with the Superintendent's Office, this program would be where students would work hands-on with the district. This initiative creates direct pathways for OUSD students into construction and facilities careers through stipends, course credit, and hands-on project exposure. This effort reflects the district's broader commitment to connecting capital investment with student opportunity. The recommendation would be to start the pilot program with two high schools, one in East Oakland and one in West Oakland. All right, and in closing, the LBU program continues to demonstrate measurable economic impact, strong compliance outcomes, and meaningful community investment. We appreciate the board's time tonight, and we look forward to for developing the program further.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll now go to board comments. Director Barry.
So I did have the benefit of seeing a preview of this presentation, and I was wowed then, I'm wowed now. I think it's really awesome and that the progress has been amazing. Former director, I didn't know that you were responsible for some of this work, so shout out to you. One question I have is what the day-to-day relationship looks like between 360, the district, and the potential, not vendors, but companies who work or hope to do work in the district.
We're in communication with the district on daily. So the folks who were just up here presenting and talking about the solar projects, we were reviewing their LBU documentation. I'm on the phone, making sure they understand, the various components of the program we do. We're very much involved. It is very much a partnership, I would say, in my experience.
Yeah, so we work with the facilities team, and then we work with the contractors too. So we're monitoring the whole program. So in some cases, the GCs are the ones that are being monitored, and sometimes it's the district work too, because it's all cohesive to how the program is successful. So we interface with the facility side as well as the contractors, and part of the outreach, some of the matchmaking that we've had have been where we have set up one-on-one meetings with small businesses and large contractors for the district's projects to get them to have part to allow the possibility for them to team on the district projects. And many of them have been selected through those roundtables to be on the teams for like the McClymonds project. Over said that some of their small local businesses, they met at the matchmaking. Because it's not just a pool of people, it's like intentional to make sure that they can tell them about their firms and they can actually build relationships to work on future projects. And some of the people are here that have actually teamed on some of the larger projects with the district, which have given a small business the ability to have the past performance of a large, $10, $70 million project, because now they're part of the prime contracting team, not just the subcontractor. So we're in partnership, and Tiffany's the lead on there, so she's on the project full time. The others are just part time when as needed, in order to make sure that we're being efficient with the bond dollars.
I'll also add to that. So weekly for many of the active projects, there are OAC meetings, and so I attend all of the OAC meetings, and so I'm hearing how the projects are going. I'm able to provide LBU updates in those meetings, and if there's ever any concerns either on the small local side or from the prime, or if, we have those conversations in those meetings, and if we need to, we have resolution meetings as well, and so it's like a full cycle, we're part of the full cycle of the projects.
And part of the procurement cycle too, to make sure that the program's being applied to the contracts. And then in cases where there's not enough availability, then those cases there wouldn't be a local business compliance, because there has to be 3 or more firms that could meet the requirement. So all of that assessment is done too before the contracts are awarded. So it's all part of the cycle.
Just 2 quick comments. The $500 million reinvested in communities, and thank you so much for the first answer. It would be nice to see that data broken by like the bond measure, especially as we intend to go back to community and ask for more resource to invest in more projects, like demonstrating to them that not only did you help us get a new field at Fremont, but also this money is being poured back into your community as well. And then the differences between the rate at which different people, different projects are making use of the LBU. I wanted to understand why, but question for another day.
Okay, because what was that question though? You said
like why it's 38% for this project and 21% over here. What some of the context there.
Some of that's based on the availability. So if there's not enough firms, you know, there's not enough firms in a certain area, then that's when the 50% would be adjusted for that project.
Were you talking about the major projects slide? So I think it's just scheduling, like where they're at in their schedule when they started. Some of the projects are finished, and so like that's when those projects are over the 50%. Yeah, I think it's just around the scheduling of them.
Talk closer.
Thank you.
I'll tell her to talk.
So we-
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Little
so
closer
in
to the
some
microphone, yeah.
cases, that's the case. But in some cases, it may not be a 50% for that project because the availability might be different. So some cases you will see no participation, or you'll see 30%, like on the solar, or on other cases that may not always be 50. So, but in the case Tiffany's talking about on that slide, it's in the cycle of where that project is, but they're all, like she mentioned, they're all projected to meet that 50% on that slide.
For the full project.
Thank you. Director Williams?
Yes, thank you very much for this. It's really nice meeting you again, Scott.
In person, not on Zoom.
In person, yes, on Zoom, first time, which is
you.
fantastic. And also for, you really understanding this gentleman, Eddie Dillard's vision about really trying to bring some equity to this process to local communities. And it really touches my heart because when I first started on the board, he was really schooling me up on how the game is played. And to see that you've stepped into this position, you're hired in this position, and you're really holding integrity in this process, it is really, I know he's smiling. I know he's happy that we have that because we're a little worried there for a bit there, right?
So we were here before and then we left, and then that was the gap that Ed was upset about, and then we ended up procuring again.
Yeah, so I just really want to thank you for the work you're doing. All I ask is whenever you have another showcase of local talent, I'd love to come and just really see the work that is going on. One of the things as a district, we get a lot of negative criticism and just constant planting seeds of fear and uncertainty and doubt, but we don't really show the roses that grow from the concrete, right? From our district, from our school sites. We don't show that. We don't, even the work that is going on at school sites, right? We don't have a sign that's in front to say, these are your Measure Y dollars, look what we're doing, or it's an open house, come check it out. See, we don't promote ourselves enough to really show like, or these are the contractors, right? We have these local contractors. People know, if you're doing business in Oakland, we know that you're doing it, but we got to showcase some of our folks, and we just don't do a good enough job. So hopefully there's an opportunity that we can like really take that on as a partnership and say, how can we help you promote us all over the place, right? If we have to, convene a larger conference of local folks to come together, we need to really try to do that. So I just want to thank you for all that you're doing and the integrity that you're bringing to this process, and really excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Latta. Director Thompson. Into the microphone.
Just real quickly, I too immediately thought of Ed Dillard when you guys were presenting, and it makes me feel really good because just like he did you, he also kind of like took me under his wings when I first ascended to the board and helped me understand local business. But I noticed something that you didn't say, but I think it's part of what you actually do. You make sure that it takes place. Are there paid internships for kids?
I believe the facility they've had a paid internship for first kids for a number of years.
Yeah.
The career development program, we're saying it should be more than the summer. It should be something that they actually are working on site and getting credit, school credit, and then they'll be part of the, like McClymonds students can work on McClymonds projects with the contractors in a way that's part of the district cycle. So the superintendent, that's all for it, because it's like we're not just building schools to build schools, we're building schools for the learning and development of the students, and the more we can help them, like students that went to Oakland Public Schools, the more we can help them work on projects where they went to school, it just really makes for a good story and helps us evolve the next generation of leaders in our community and give them that foothold that they need, that experience that they need to be successful.
Yeah, I think that's outstanding. I went to Castlemont and I had a chance to see how kids were using the design of the Coliseum, their ideas of the design of the Coliseum area, also the transit from the airport, so that whole thing. And so I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head. You're right there. If kids could help design what they could actually use, we can take their concept of what they think should take place for our businesses.
Right. And speaking of Ed Dillard, too, just real quick, is that some of the policy recommendations that we have are to bring the policy back to the robust policy that the district had. So that, in his honor, would be a huge accomplishment to get those things passed for the board in this cycle. Okay.
Director Hutchinson.
Yes, thank you. As we're remembering people, I also really want to give a big shout out and rest in peace to Alice Spearman and Daryl Carey.
And Noel Guile.
And Noel Guile. And especially with, with Ms. Spearman and with Daryl, I wouldn't be on the school board now today if they hadn't supported and encouraged me many, many years ago. And hopefully some of the folks who came out tonight for this exact item, hopefully some people had their eyes open to what's really going on in OUSD these days. We need help from everyone. Some of us in the past were on different sides of some of the construction projects. In my opinion, largely because I was always fighting for us to manage our dollars well so we can maximize our scarce dollars that we have. And I think having this presented at the same meeting that we had the third interim report and some of those budget numbers, hopefully it does open some more eyes and that we just need more involvement and more engagement from all of the different constituencies in Oakland to get us back on track. And I am glad that you all have the contract now again, but I really want to, it's always important to me that I honor the work that Alice Spearman and Daryl Carey did, both for our community and for me personally. And I wish we had more of that energy around right now. So thank you all. And please, everyone who came out there in the audience for this item, please come back again. We need real help here across the board for everyone, because if this district tanks, I cannot imagine the trauma and the harm it's going to cause all of us. And when we mismanage our finances, there's less contracts to go around for everyone. And it's just a real problem that we're facing right now. So thank you all for coming and giving me the opportunity to shout out some folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that item.
Thank you.
Now we're moving to T1, which is the Local Control and Accountability Plan. Oh, I apologize. Public comment, yes. I'm sorry. We are just running so quickly at a time. Yes, public comment on this agenda item, Mr. Seychow. Thank you.
Yes, we have 10 speakers, and those 10 speakers are Gloria T., Marissa Zumura.
Come on up, everybody.
Rafael, is it Zamora? Do apologize if I mispronounce your name. Christian Gonzalez, Nidir Bay, Kyle Williams, James Harris, Aaron Gabriel, Ronald Muhammad, and Jack Nelson.
We'll do 1 minute each.
Noted.
Quick. Thank you very much for allowing us to come here today and share with you our experience for this wonderful program that we continue to have the board and current board members. Thank you so much. Dr. Sandler, Superintendent, it's been wonderful to hear all the support for 360 and for the program. I've been around for many, many years. I grew up in Oakland. Since I was 3 years old, from a large family. and decided, when my brothers decided to open a business here in Oakland, because our heart is here, we belong here, we want to give back to our community, we want to open jobs, opportunities, and if it wasn't for this program, as a small local, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to continue to work on larger projects. And this has really opened it up wide, not just to improve our knowledge and skill to provide and enrich our schools, make them better for our students like they were when I was in school. I'm so proud to see, and you have to be proud, that there are so many schools out there that are beautiful, and I just glow when I see those little ones in there, these powerful magnet schools. You just have to walk them, and I did that as I walked it when I was at Holy Names University, when I went to observe teachers in action there because I supervised them. And so I am so proud to continue to work here in the capacity of VP of Operations for Digital Design Communication, where you have given us the opportunity, been a long partner with you guys, and in other projects in Oakland, that I am proud as a student here, proud as a community member of my family, and now you, Oakland, is our family to continue the work that we need to. Despite the issues that come, as a family, we can get there, and we're long gone past whatever anybody could have imagined. So thank you so much, and thank you for having 360 participate and work with us so that we can develop what we need to for creating jobs and good schools for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you. I would just like to please have 1 minute for comments so that we can finish out our meeting. Who's next? Just come on up. Come on up. Whoever is next, just come on up.
Mexicans and black people don't talk for 1 minute. Michael, thank you, board, for having us. It's a great honor to be here. You mentioned Daryl, Alice Spearman, Noel Gallo, Nadar Bay, and I think I'm the last one of the old guards. They're standing behind me. They're standing behind me. Because this program, we started pushing it in 2002 with the city of Oakland. Here we are, 2026. I get discussion 2 weeks ago with somebody who says, you know, if we weren't mandated to use Oakland companies, we wouldn't use you. 2 weeks ago. I raise that point because the struggle continues. The struggle continues. The struggle continues. And we have to prepare our next generation to understand that equity is ownership and economic. With that, we can meet anything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, come on up. Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me the time to speak today, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. My name is Marissa Zamora. I'm president and CEO of Tulum Systems, a small Oakland-based contracting company. Programs like the LBU program create real impact because they give businesses like mine the opportunity to grow, hire within the community, and reinvest back into the people who live here in Oakland. Not only does this because of the opportunities created in this program, our company has grown significantly. Today, we have about 30 employees, with 85% of them being our workforce are Oakland residents. Many of our employees grew up here, and now their children attend Oakland schools. When businesses like ours are hired, we create jobs for people who are personally invested in the neighborhoods they work in every day. This program works because it keeps opportunity, investment, and growth within the Oakland community it's meant to serve. The impact of this program goes far beyond a single contract. It strengthens small businesses, supports working families, and creates a stronger connection between our schools and the communities around them. Thank you.
Got to be quick, but this is really personal to us. We're glad that 360 is back on the project. That was one of the best moves you guys could do. Small businesses are crushed because they don't have the capacity. And when you're working with general contractors and general folk who are in the prime position, who don't see the importance of dealing with you with equity, they can slow up payments that can crush a small business. And 360 has always stood in the gap as an advocate from the district side, from the subcontractors, who this program was designed to grow the small guy into a competitive state. And that only happens with a certain kind of mindset. We just want to say thank you. I could go on, but thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm a homeowner, so I'm paying into my own stuff. So
Thank you. Come on up.
Y'all gonna really do me with 1 minute, huh?
Yep.
As much time
You know
as
the
I
drill.
sat there. Yeah. So I just wrote a little statement for you, and I will go a little over by about 15 seconds, but this is special, as everyone has said, because of the people who made this happen. And as we all know, public money is a public promise. Regardless of the politics and turmoil that we witnessed earlier, Oakland Unified has chosen to keep that promise through service. Service to our neighborhoods, to our families, services to the businesses that are woven into the fabric of this city. I want you to think about them when you do your work. When Rosie and I championed this expansion of this policy, we stood on the shoulders of the people that fought for this. People like Tim White, Alice Spearman, my predecessor on this board, who championed it with conviction. My brother, my long gone brother, Nadar Bey, who showed us every day in his work why this matters. When I joined this board, as they said, one of my first acts was raising the threshold from 30 to 50%, because I believe then and I believe today that Black and Latino businesses in the city deserve more than access. They deserve a real seat at the table, and I am proud that we continue and you continue to honor their legacy and the opportunity this policy creates. That the policy lives on today tells me that this district can keep its word. Tim, Alice, Nadar would be proud. To the board, remember, whether you like it or not, you are a team. This city needs you. The students need you to work together. Let's keep it going. Let's go, Oakland.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Kyle Williams, and I work for an electrical contractor. And I started as an apprentice, working in schools. And over the years, I grew into a foreman and was able to buy my home. I'm an Oakland resident, and this stuff like this is important, and it's made me who I am. And I think it's just something that holds dear to me. It's important, and it's important for people like me that grew up here to represent and build this community and just have programs like this to keep things going. And yeah, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name's Aaron Gabrielle with Light Frame Construction. Born and raised in Oakland. We've been on a couple of OUSD projects, Cole, Claremont, but the project that I hold personally to my heart is Fremont High. I was a student there, and just being able to be a part of that project, invest back into my community, the students being able to see me, a young Black contractor, it means a lot to the community and the students, and I believe that they're our future. So I would love to keep that going. It was a pleasure just making Fremont. It just looks different, totally different school. It was a pleasure to be a part of that school, that project. So thank you.
Thank you. And so last two in-person speakers, come on up. Is there anybody on Zoom, Mr. Seicho?
No Zoom speaker.
Great. Go ahead, Jack.
All right. Yeah, you guys have done a lot of things right. Number one, working with 360, and I actually am an Oakland businessman, and I do some work with Tulum, with the Zamoras, and their integrity level is sky high. They're really great, so keep working with them. I see you're going to be working with them at McClymonds and Sequoia. That's great. Second, off the cuff, since I got 30 seconds left, Dawn James, boy, you made her Teacher of the Year. She's probably going to be Alameda County Teacher of the Year. She's going against Tony Farley, who I worked with for years at San Leandro. But Tony's good, Dawn's great. There's a difference. Oakland, we're on the rise.
Thank you. Last speaker.
Good evening. My name is Nadar Bey. Thank you for having me, members of the board, president, and Superintendent Sadler. I'm an Oakland native and a second-generation Oakland contractor. This program has allowed me to work for multiple different companies in Oakland and work on a lot of the communities that I grew up in. I grew up across the street from Fremont High School, and we've had the opportunity to work on that campus. I currently live near Castlemont. I was able to work on that marquee last year. So it's a beautiful thing where the people who live in their community can give back to it and do things for the next generation. I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for this program. So I wanted to give appreciation to all of you here, and of course to 360 Total Concepts for keeping this going. So thank you guys.
Thank you. And with that, I'll hand the chairmanship over back to Director Brohard.
Thank you. Thank you, 360. Our next up is our LCAP presentation, which is a first read, introduction.
Good evening, board. My name is Sandra Aguilera. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for our district. I'll be taking us through the overview of the Local Control and Accountability Plan. And for our board office staff, can you please promote Diana Sherman in case there are questions? Thank you. All right, so we're kicking off the LCAP season. We're going to do a brief overview tonight, and there will be two other opportunities to see the LCAP publicly. We have the public hearing, and then we have final adoption. But this season really opens up the opportunity for not only our board members, but for our community and staff to give us feedback on the LCAP items. So the Local Control and Accountability Plan is a description of how a district will use funds to meet student goals. This is part of the local control funding formula legislation, and every district in the state must produce an LCAP. The LCAP focuses on low-income students, English language learners, and foster students. What you'll see in our LCAP are a description of student needs, our goals, which are broader goals that groups together specific actions, and the actions is what you can expect to see in our classrooms and at the district level. When you then go further down, you'll see line items, so all the specific investments that are made using school or district funds, I should say. Implementation, at the end of every year, you see an update as to the implementation of those actions and the associated metrics that are being met after 1 year. And of course, we have the progress, which I mentioned in terms of our metrics. We have a large number of metrics in our LCAP because we not only look at an overall area, we also disaggregate the data by our student groups. And then, of course, we have engagement. You have a large portion of your board meetings dedicated to PSAC, and there are further engagements that happen throughout the year to collect input on what we should be focused on in terms of our goals for student learning. A reminder, LCFF replaced an old outdated system around categorical funds. The LCFF gives you a base grant, and then applied on top of the base grant is a supplemental fund, and then a concentration grant. And you can see the breakdown provided for you for each of the grade spans, how much money you receive per student. And again, we're focused on English language learners, foster youth, and our low-income students. All right, so in our LCAP, it is meant to describe above and beyond the base funding. We are not going to list out all of the unrestricted base resources. So if you're thinking about what actual positions that would be, your teachers, your principals, your special education costs, those will not be described in the LCAP because those are base funds. What you will see is a description of how we're using the supplemental grant, the concentration grant, all of our federal funds, the local parcels, so measures G, G1, N and H, state and federal grants, and we'll go a little bit more into equity multiplier, and then we receive grants from our private donors. So if you think about Kaiser, Salesforce, Eat, Learn, Play, those are examples of our private donors. We are entering in our third year of a 3-year cycle, and so the board will have an opportunity in the upcoming cycle to re-look at the goals and possibly change the goals. So that is open to us after every 3 years, and so we have 1 more year of this cycle, and then there'll be an opportunity to update those goals. So for goal 1, students graduate college, career, and community ready, and you can see the actions that are listed below. Of goal 2, we focus on our focal students so that they're demonstrating accelerated growth, and again, the specific actions below. Goal 3, students, families, and staff are welcome, safe, healthy, and engaged in joyful schools. So you'll see all the associated investments and actions to reach that goal in goal 3. And then goal 4, our staff are high quality, stable, and reflective of Oakland's rich diversity. And then again, the investments and the actions listed there. For the next goals, goals 5, 6, 7, and 8 are focused on equity multiplier. This was an added item for the LCAP. When there was the legislation that was passed, it was added on to the LCAP goal areas. And so you will see the investments for equity multiplier specific to these particular schools that receive this grant listed out, and we have grouped them. I want to point out the schools, looks like a reddish orange color. These are new schools that are receiving these grants for the upcoming year. And just a quick reminder about the equity multiplier. Schools receive this fund because they have high attrition rates among their students. So there are a few other indicators that identify schools, but that is the one that will tip schools into receiving the grant or not. And so it means that year after year, there's a high amount of students moving from school to school. So the schools that are continuing are listed in the black color script, and then we have Hoover, MLK, Martin Luther King Elementary, and West Oakland Middle that will be receiving the funds for the first time. And then for our high schools, Met West will be receiving the funds for the first time, and so on and so forth. Just to close out now, again, we're opening the season for collecting feedback. We have a few engagement opportunities. We use our PSAC meetings to collect feedback from families and from committees on the specific investments. And then we are having this first draft read tonight. Next week, there will be the public hearing on June 3rd. And then ultimately, the board will have before you the LCAP and the budget to adopt for June 24th. And so that's our overview. Again, Diana Sherman, our LCAP coordinator, is here on Zoom as well to answer any questions that you might have. And I'll pass it back to you, President Brohard, for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Aguilera. Before we take any board comments, if there are any, I need to have a motion to extend the clock.
Motion to extend till 11:45.
Second.
And Mr. Rick Stark, may we have a roll call on the vote, please?
On the motion to extend the meeting to 11:45 p.m., student directors are absent. Director Latta?
Yes.
Director Williams?
Yes, sir.
Director Hutchinson?
No.
Director Berry?
Yes.
Director Thompson?
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor?
Yes.
And President Brohard?
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you. Are there any board questions? Director Hutchinson?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Aguilera. It's not actually, I don't think, a question directed towards you specifically, but that I really want to put out there again. I think there's been problems over the last few years of the district having real fidelity with the LCAP plan, especially as there's been budget adjustments and things have changed. It seemed like and I know PSAC has not been happy with, it seems like it's always been a move away from what was actually laid out in the LCAP. And so I just want to put out there, especially for this year, I'm really concerned. You know, I don't think the reduction in force, the layoffs, were done, that list wasn't done in conjunction with looking at the LCAP and considering the goals that are listed there. And just quickly reading through some of the goals and some of the successes of the past, I'm really concerned because I don't think we're going to have those staff people next year. And so when the two staff people who were in charge of the school improvement work and the school redesign work are no longer going to be in the district, when that's one of the goals in the LCAP, I don't know how we're going to fulfill it. So I just want to put out there publicly and for everyone, I'm really, really concerned about that. And just the second thing, I think waiting for this until almost 11 o'clock at night, doing it at a time when there's no community here, let alone the community that was involved with developing the LCAP, is not a good message to send to the community on top of it. So I know the last 2 years we've heard from the PSAC committee where they've come and complained that they felt like their plan wasn't adhered to and wasn't followed. I'm concerned about going forward, and so I appreciate this document, but how do we keep fidelity to it, and how do we even get some kind of document to show, like the delta, the changes that, the changes in the budget are going to impact the LCAP, especially when it comes down to specific positions. And just lastly, when I was on the last PSAC meeting, I was very surprised when listening to I think it was Diana Sherman go over all the specific cuts that were involved with the reduction in force list. That was the first time I had seen those specifics in that sort of way. And again, if we are going to lift up the LCAP and the PSAC as a real place to do work and set policy and set agenda, then we must have some accountability and some assurances when it comes to implementation. So again, that's not directed towards you, but I really just want to put it out there. And this year, I'm more worried about it than ever before. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hutchinson. Director Berry?
Yeah, hi, thank you. I wanted, in the last Budget and Finance meeting, we spoke about my desire, and I think it's shared, I don't think it's unique to me, for the budget stabilization work, fiscal solvency work, to be anchored in vision for teaching and learning. And one of the comments that came up in the meeting was how core the vision for the LCAP and the decisions related to the LCAP was to that work. So I just want to hear you share from your perspective how you see the relationship and what drives what and what information you would want going into LCAP process. Yeah, I'll stop there.
So thank you for the question. One of the areas that we considered was collecting input from school sites to hear from their perspective what investments they valued the most. And it's always a little bit of an awkward conversation because they feel like they're ranking people, the people that they work with. But I still requested that they work through that. And what they lifted up were more of the student-facing services and trying to maintain those student-facing services. So when you think about the quality teaching, there was a holding on to the literacy investments because we need to ensure that our students can read at grade level each time that they are ascending into the next grade level. And so you do see that investment maintained. You also have attendance work that we need to ensure that students are attending. We have been able to connect the amount of time that students are coming to school with their actual improvement. There has been a direct connection there. And so we still have our attendance specialists that are invested. So we did collect some initial information from our schools to ensure that what we were trying to maintain were investments. And of course, we weren't able to do all because we had to make reductions, but there were a large amount of the staffing that the school sites lifted up as being priority.
Any other board comments?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the LCAP presentation. I was actually going through the agenda and I saw a few items that kind of really fit with the LCAP, which was for Gold 1, high quality instruction and academic acceleration. I think in this particular agenda, there are investments in summer learning and instructional support. So thank you for moving that forward, which helps out the accelerated, literacy. For Goal 2, safe, healthy, and supportive learning environments, seeing a couple items that really reach to that, expanded learning programs that are engaged in there, Bay community resources and such, and some after-school enrichment, which is good. In Goal 3, I see that college career and community readiness. You have some career pathway internship investments in this particular agenda. So just want to thank you for that and the supports as well as student stipends with the ECHO program and work-based learning experiences as well. Further, in Goal 4, organizational effectiveness and fiscal responsibility, has a strategic use of our ELOP funds as well. So what we know is that we're moving more towards LCAP alignment within our particular budget agendas, and I appreciate you thinking about that and moving those items forward. Thank you for the work.
Thank you. Any other? Okay. Thank you. I look forward to the hearing on June 3rd.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment on this?
For public comment, we have one registered speaker, Carol Denton. President Brewhart, no hands for Carol Denton.
Okay, thank you. The next item on the agenda is item T3, application for provisional internship permit, California Commission on Teacher Credentialing. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
And is there any public comment on this?
No public comment.
Is there any board comment? Mr. Rakestraw, can we have a roll call on the vote, please?
On the motion to adopt the motion as stated, student directors are absent. Director Thompson?
Yes.
Director Barry?
Yes.
Director Latta,
Yes.
Director Hutchinson,
Yes.
Director Williams,
Yes, sir.
and Vice President Batchelor,
Yes.
and President Brohart.
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you. Next, we have item P, consent items, agenda items, facilities, minus P8 and P12.
Point of clarification, do we have O1, the consent report number 2?
We do, but
People forgot to include it, even though it was pulled when Vice President Batchelor was running the meeting. We didn't discuss it separately, and it wasn't
No,
meant.
can we just, we'll take item O1. Is there a motion to adopt, please? Is there a motion to adopt O1?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any board comment?
Yeah, I just want to state for the record that when you pulled items at the start of the meeting, President Brohard, you said you were pulling O1 and O21. So I just want to make that clear. That's what you read out in your modifications to the agenda. Then when the consent report came up, O1 wasn't pulled and it wasn't discussed separately.
Okay, that's noted. Thank you. Is there a motion, can we take a roll call on the vote, please?
President Brohart, I thought I recall that you meant 021, and Vice President Batchelor corrected you, that you didn't actually pull 01.
No, there was 01 pulled. Okay, can we take a roll call on the vote, please?
Adoption of consent report number 2, which is 01.
Mr. Rixwell, just for the record, we have no public comment on this item.
Thank you very much. On the roll call, student directors are absent. Director Berry.
Yes.
Director Hutchinson.
Abstain.
Director Williams. Director Williams.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Director Lott is recused. Director Thompson.
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor.
Yes.
And President Brohart.
Yes.
Motion is adopted.
Next item is item P minus items P8 and P12. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I'll second it. Is there public comment?
No public comment.
Thank you. Can we have roll call on the vote, please? P minus P2, I'm sorry, minus P8 and P12.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Items, okay. Items P8 and P12 both have to do with 1025. Director Hutchinson, I know you pulled them. Do you want to take them separately, or do you want to take them together and as one? Okay. I'm going to make a motion that we adopt items P8 and P12.
Second.
Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Comment. Director Hutchinson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As my mom would say, I can tell who didn't have my mom for kindergarten these days. So I pulled these items to make sure I could explicitly vote against them. One of the many problems that we have going on in OUSD right now is past legislation and resolutions aren't being enforced. So, for example, we have a resolution for the 3 Rs that called for action last June. That was never enforced. I mentioned earlier today we have a board policy, 3150, that requires the superintendent to bring forward a draft agenda by this meeting. Nobody enforces it. This demolition of 2nd Avenue, not only is it offensive, we had previous standing resolutions that prevented this, but this was still allowed to go forward. And for that building in particular, that building's a historic building. It has certain status and recognition because of that. But the way the board has operated this year, we've just ignored all of those things. So I'm going to do what I can to push against it. I'm really disappointed that we haven't gotten stronger legal advice to prevent these things from happening. And, you know, people aren't going to be able to get away with it for much longer. But it's definitely offensive that people are messing with our traditional properties and a building that's named after Paul Robeson for a reason. And that has meant a lot to a lot of people in the community. And to think at the end of the night, you can just slide through something that's going to call for the demolition of that building, and that we're going to use money out of our facilities bond to do it, instead of using those dollars to actually improve our schools and rebuild them, is even more offensive. And if people think that by having this demolition done now this summer, that's going to free the way for anyone to take that property and move it to outside hands through a 7-Eleven committee, then you weren't around before when we had these fights. So I'm going to be voting strongly no. This is offensive, and there are legal implications to a lot of these decisions, and the day of reckoning is coming.
Thank you. Mr. Rakestraw, can we have a roll call on the vote, please?
Mr. Seychard, you indicate no public speakers? Okay, all right. Director Lotter?
Yes.
Student board members are absent. Director Williams?
Yes, sir.
Director Hutchinson?
No.
Director Barry?
Yes.
Director Thompson?
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor?
Yes.
And President Brohart?
Yes.
All right, motion's adopted.
Thank you. Moving on to item S, unfinished business. I would like to take up S1 through S4 together and report out separately.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this?
No registered speakers.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? Okay. Mr. Rakestraw, can we have a roll call on the vote, please?
Yes, on the motion to adopt S1 through S4, the student directors are absent. Director Thompson?
Yes.
Director Barry?
Yes.
Director Hutchinson?
I'm not comfortable lumping all of these together. Abstain. They're not all the same thing.
Director Williams?
Yes.
Director Latta?
Yes.
Vice President Batchelor?
Yes.
President Brohart?
Yes.
Motion's adopted.
Thank you. That we move on to the and I do have one.
I think it's the president's report.
It is. I just had missed that. All right. Thank you. Tonight, the superintendent. I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. As we close out the 2025-26 school year, I want to begin by recognizing an important milestone for thousands of Oakland students and families. Tomorrow, May 28th, is the last day of school, and I want to congratulate graduates from Castlemont, CCPA, Dewey, Fremont, McClymonds, Met West, Oakland High, Oakland Tech, Ralph Bunch, Rudsdale, Skyline, Sojourner Truth, the Young Adult Program, and the Oakland Adult and Career Education. Graduation is a powerful reminder of why we do this work. This is an exciting time as students head off to college, careers, apprenticeships, and new opportunities. I also want to congratulate our middle school students who are promoting to high school, our elementary students who are promoting to middle school, and our TK students who are promoting to kindergarten. These transitions matter, and they reflect the hard work of students, educators, staff, and families across Oakland. The past several weeks have also shown what collaboration and advocacy can accomplish when we stay focused on students. On May 7th, Oakland Unified joined with LAUSD in Sacramento to advocate for the full funding of Proposition 98. Superintendent Sadler, Vice President Batchelor, and I were joined by representatives from OEA, AFSCME, SEIU, and BCTC. In room after room with state senators and assembly members, labor and district leadership stood together to explain how education funding impacts our students and school communities, and shared stories of what it means when we don't have stable funding from the state. That level of unity matters, and this is what working together looks like. I also want to acknowledge the May 18th press conference at 1025 2nd Avenue in support of Senate Bill 492 and the proposed CTE TAHUB. I was proud to stand alongside Mayor Barbara Lee, Senator Jesse Arreguín, Superintendent Sadler, Director Barry, and the youth who have been organizing for this vision. OUSD has a clear goal, and that every student graduates college, career, and community ready. But we also know that for some students, a diploma alone is not enough. Many young people need stable housing, mental health support, career and technical education, and pathways to employment in order to fully succeed. Senate Bill 492 would help fund those supports. On May 14th, the governor released the May revise, and while the full $5.9 billion Proposition 98 settle-up was not included, $3.8 billion was restored, and the fight for the remaining funds continues. There were also several positive developments for districts across the state, including increased special education funding, one-time discretionary block grants tied to ADA, and expanded learning recovery grants, the continued funding for literacy coaching and training, ongoing support for community schools, teacher residency programs, and increased funding for ELOP. Because OUSD already has a literacy grant in place, our district will also be eligible for additional literacy funding through 2031. While these investments are important and encouraging, we still have significant work ahead as we continue developing a balanced, student-centered budget for the 2026-27 school year. The work will require continued collaboration, transparency, and a focus on the needs of students and school communities. Thank you to all our students, families, educators, staff, and community partners for another year of hard work in support of Oakland's children. I wish everyone a safe and restful summer. And finally, I want to remind the public that there will be a board retreat on Monday, June 15th from 9 to 3 in the committee room, where we'll discuss our goals and work plans for the 2026-27 school year. Board reports. Board member reports. Director Batchelor.
Thank you. I'd like to thank district staff, educators and families, our labor partners and community members who pushed us through this the last few years to help us get to this point of having a positive certification of our third interim. While the work is not over, the report shows that OUSD is now projected to meet its fiscal obligations this year and over the next 2 years while continuing to protect our reserve requirements and stabilize the district financially. This is important. This means that Oakland maintains control of our schools, ensuring that only Oakland voters and community members have control over what our Oakland students have, not state or county officials. We also know that long-term stability requires continued innovation and restructuring across the district. That includes expanding transitional kindergarten opportunities, exploring in-district non-public school options for disabled students, and continuing district restructuring efforts to align resources with students' needs. For too long, Oakland students and staff have lived through financial crisis after financial crisis. Achieving financial stability is not the finish line. It is the foundation to invest in our students' success, academic achievement, stable schools, and rebuilding a strong public education system. The report makes it clear that we need to stay disciplined and tackle the challenges head on. But tonight really marks a genuine turning point and proof that Oakland can move forward responsibly and sustainably. Thank you.
Director Barry.
Just a few quick things. One, my office hours for the month of June is changing again, so I apologize for the inconsistency this month and next, but my last office hours will be on June 27th, so it's just the last before we recess in July, and then I'll reconvene. And then also in June, date TBD, there will be a virtual event, and we're going to be hosting some folks from Mississippi, so if you all have heard of some of the literacy and math success that they've seen there are a few stakeholders who are willing to talk to members of our community. So it's open to all of Oakland, and I will have that information posted online, but I'll also send it out so folks can circulate it. And I also wanted to give a shout out to the Fremont seniors. I saw at senior night last night, it was a really special event. I got a chance to talk to some of the families and seniors, and I just think this is a really special time of year. So despite all that is going on in the world, really hold on to the joy that we all have right now as people are being elevated into their next chapter is really awesome.
Director Williams?
Yes, I really want to give a shout out to Oakland natives, Dr. Naisha DeWitt. Really has been a strong fighter for our students, fighter for our district, and really addressing and bringing solutions to the table for chronic absenteeism. Today, I actually went to McClimate's to witness her Oakland Natives Give Back, give $5,000 to one of the McClimate students, Hannah Jenkins, for the attendance challenge for chronic absenteeism at McClimate's. The attendance has increased. Students who participate in the program, they get $500 a month if they actually, show up on time for the month. That's a great incentive. And at the end of the year, they were enrolled in a raffle of $5,000. So, Dr. Naisha DeWitt, I just can't thank you enough for your belief and investment in the district and into our students. And secondly, she also held a convening of local political leaders. Dr. Sattler was there to really lead the work with Dr. DeWitt, and just talking about what strategies OUSD and the community can work together in really addressing some of our chronic absenteeism that's happening in our district and affecting our student outcomes. What we do know is we have, on average, minimum 3,000 students that have come to school on a range between 20 and 80%. And if we can get that number down, as we have pledged to support our superintendent in moving that number down, that actually will bring additional resources for us to reinvest into our students. So knowing that Dr. Sattler and Dr. Naisha DeWitt are partnering and really elevating the chronic absentee issue, but also the partnership of Oakland Gives Back. It's just really a wonderful end-of-the-year gift, not only just to Hannah Jenkins, but to all the students that were participating in the program and all of the parents and all of the students that supported that. So I can't thank you enough, Dr. Sattler, for continuing to push that vision that you are addressing chronic absenteeism. I've been on the board for 2 terms, and I have not seen very much movement. And you step in, and we're starting to really make some stuff happen. So thank you very much again for your leadership. I'm out.
Lada?
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. First off, tonight, while we were having our meeting, the folks graduated from Oakland International and Oakland Tech, so I want to congratulate them, including our student board director, Director Mariana Smith, who is celebrating after graduating tonight from Oakland Tech. And I want to just say that the other event I want to uplift is coming on June 1st, so that's this Monday at 5:30 to 8 at the Fremont Cafeteria. It's the OUSD Multi-Stakeholder Engagement Group, which is a group led by members of PSAC and CAC. It's also supported by some of our staff in a volunteer capacity, Cynthia Molina and Troy Christmas. As the CAC and PSAC are liaisons, both Director Brohart and myself are assisting. And it's going to be, the previous 5 engagements have been really around what makes a process truly community-centered and reflective of the input from communities. And there's been multilingual events. The most recent event was last Tuesday, and there was 44 parents and family members at the Arabic-only speaking Zoom, which is, I think, just a testament to the, I think, the leveraging of relationships that's happening. I mean, it's not very often that we get that many folks in one language speaking. We also had a mom speaking only engagement. So there'll be interpretation in Arabic, Mom, Spanish, and Mandarin at the event on Monday. And it's going to be about what matters most and what's working in our schools, so we know what our community wants to protect. So if you're interested, it would be great if you RSVP'd at OUSD-MLA mseg.org or -mseg.org, because then we can make sure that we have interpretation, childcare, and food for you. And then next Thursday, we'll have our next and final budget and finance meeting, and we will be talking about some of the specific reductions and the numbers that we have that came up multiple times tonight. So I hope you all can join. Thanks.
Director Thompson.
Yes, I'll try to make this very quick. The custodial department, under the leadership of Roland Broach, had you and I attended the graduation ceremony that they held at Fremont High School, and it was very good. And I'm really excited because the things that I'm mentioning go beyond just the single entity itself. It actually encompasses the entire community. With that, Castlemont also hosted the Voices a couple of weeks ago, and there were kids from elementary school through high school represented, and there are a lot of different schools there, so that was very good. Also, I did attend, prior to the board meeting tonight, I did attend the 11th graders at Castlemont who actually presented projects, again, focusing on how our students are working to encompass the entire community, making a change in the community. They actually designed projects for the actual airport corridor. And I just kind of thought this is really wonderful because they talked about addressing homelessness, kids in school, air quality, and creating shaded spaces. And so I just thought it was absolutely wonderful. And the very last thing, Castlemont is having their graduation Thursday, and I shouldn't say the last thing. And one other thing, and MPS, Madison Park, yeah, they had their graduation Tuesday.
Director Hutchinson.
Thank you. A reminder to everyone, we still have another month of board meetings, so we have a regular school board meeting on June 10th and on June 24th. Like I stated a couple of times tonight, board policy explicitly calls for the superintendent to present a draft agenda at tonight's meeting. Didn't happen. It sounds like there's not even going to be a draft agenda ready for the next Budget and Finance Committee meeting next week. And this has never been how things have worked in the past, where people just refuse to do the work. And then on top of that, now tonight, this board voted to certify our budget as positive, even though we know we continue to overspend more and more every month, and even though nobody could answer what the number for projected expenditures is for next year. So I don't understand how, when we don't have a staff person who can answer basic questions, when the third interim report was only posted and given to board directors 24 hours before the meeting, when really we should have a draft agenda already, or draft budget already ready, and people are still talking about working on it in the future. Even with the numbers presented tonight, there's a deficit projected for next year, which means we can't pass a balanced budget as we're required to by law, which also means if we pass a budget with a deficit in it, that ensures insolvency next year because we have no cushion on top of that. And these are standard financial and budgetary principles. Just like County Superintendent Castro sent us a letter in September, early September, telling the board we needed to address the budgetary shortfall of 25-26 and 26-27 by October 8th. Superintendent Sadler, you also sent the board that message. The board took no action on October 8th. On December 10th, at the second interim, you presented scenario 3, which you explicitly said was not a plan. Now in your press release from this week, you said that was the plan. It was approved in December. Well, scenario 3 called for $27 million in cuts this year. Didn't happen. Called for $103 million in cuts for next year. That didn't happen. Yet a budget number was put in front of us that reflects a difference of $100 million that nobody could explain. I'm sorry, this isn't rocket science. But we've lost our CBO. We moved somebody from the head of HR in charge of our finances, hired consultants with an awful reputation that weren't vetted instead of taking free help from the county. Can't get a third interim report out in time where I can even see it more than 24 hours before we're asked to vote on it. And you all want to call this positive and think, we did it. We're the first ones in decades to do it. That sure isn't what I've experienced. And when you have people like Director Williams seconding it, that just proves my point. I hope everyone sees this and is watching. This is going to be explosive and scandalous because we're talking about $100 million and nobody can explain where it went.
We are adjourned. Oh, in honor of, sorry, we are adjourned in honor of Max Robinson III and Deborah King Cooper. And I don't know if you want to say something.
I will bring up some specifics next week, but the acknowledgement of Max Robinson III will be at the Chapel of the China on June 2nd. Our next meeting.
Thank you. And thank you to my board colleagues for